bonjour, good
Amen.
morning, good
Amen.
afternoon, greetings massive, greetings and salutation, welcome. At this point in time, before I get into the official welcome, I want to introduce a gentleman to you who is going to just lay the foundation for us today. He is our information hub. He is our go-to person. He keeps us balanced. Ladies and gentlemen, please make welcome Dr., the Vice President of the Jamaican Diaspora en France, Dr. Peter Smith.
Renee, almost never recognized me in that description. Good afternoon, everybody. Bonsoir tout le monde. How are you doing?
Good.
Great. A hearty Jamaican welcome to everybody. As Renee said, my name is Peter Smith, and I am Vice President of the Jamaican Diaspora en France. I would like to say a very big welcome to all of you, all of the members of the Jamaican Diaspora and Friends of Jamaica participating. A big welcome to members of JaDiF and IDS, whom we're going to hear from in a minute. And importantly, a very big, warm Jamaican welcome to all of our presenters from Jamaica, who will be sharing some very useful information with us this afternoon or this evening about getting real estate in Jamaica, acquiring real estate. I'll just take a quick minute to introduce our association for those of you who are not familiar with it. So the Jamaican Diaspora en France, it was set up in 2019. Very often when I talk, I keep saying it was set up last year. Because of the pandemic, it seems like 2020 never existed, pretty much. But we were formalized in 2019, and pretty much the objectives were to bring together Jamaicans living in France and the continent, bring in Jamaican culture to Jamaicans in France because we don't get to go home very often, and then also presenting information of use to Jamaicans about connections back home. So in this specific instance, we're fulfilling one of our objectives, which is to try and make the path smoother towards doing business in Jamaica. And again, you'll hear more from IDS. And this is the second in a trifecta that we're doing. The first one we had a few weeks ago was on immigration, passports, and so on. And this one, like I said earlier, is going to be focusing on real estate. All right. So in a nutshell, that is what JaDiF is about. We have a few other members here, executive team. We have Marcia Bernard, the president. Renee, our host, is our ambassador. We have Chrisanne, who is our secretary. We have Fatima, our accountant. And I know someone is going to break my neck for forgetting, some of the names right now. But welcome to everybody. All right. So I hope we have a very good session. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Peter. Thank you so very much. This is going to be a fantastic afternoon because, where information is, the knowledge, wisdom, all of that comes with it is always the end result. And so we're very happy today, as Peter mentioned, to fulfill this mandate, the one that looks out for Jamaicans irrespective of where we are. Looking out for Jamaicans and friends of Jamaica. At this point in time, I am just so elated that IDS, Integrated Diaspora Services, and the Jamaican Diaspora en France could collaborate on this event. Coming together, helping persons, getting information, helping us to advance, helping us to build generational wealth, all the things that come with it. So at this point in time, one of the founders, a co-founder of the Integrated Diaspora Services. Look, this woman, this lady, this powerhouse, she's in so many places at one time. And she's just so gentle, so subtle, but so forceful and effective. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome Miss Nordia Teape.
Thank you so much, Renee. Thank you so much. Good afternoon, everyone. To our presenters, organizers, and especially to the diaspora across the world, welcome. Today, the Integrated Diaspora Services team is excited about this collaboration with the Jamaica Diaspora en France team. to bring much needed information on a process that most, if not all, Jamaicans across the world look forward to: ownership of property. This initiative is also a reflection of the commitment and vision of integrated diaspora services to provide a one-stop shop solution to the diaspora across the world who desire to join us in improving the lives of our people and stimulate the growth and development of our country by providing an efficient and trusted avenue for the diaspora to do business back home. As a service broker, IDS partners with competent suppliers to provide a one-stop shop solution, primarily for Jamaicans overseas or foreigners who desire to do business in Jamaica, especially when they're not physically able to be here to do so. Endorsed by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the services of IDS are covered under the acronym CARE. Yes, CARE. C represents our compassion and wellness services, which covers elderly and death care services. A represents our approvals and legal services, such as assistance with government transactions, such as your tax registration number or TRN, birth certificates, and legal matters such as land or title matters to criminal or litigation, among others. R represents our resource training and education services, catering to the needs of Jamaicans who desire to access scholarships and funding to work and study at over 150 universities across the world. Finally, E represents our economic and property services, which covers shipping, logistics and transportation, community tourism, branding and marketing, as well as all properly related services, long-term or short-term rental, buying or selling of property, or property management services. Our aim, ladies and gentlemen, is to contribute to the development of our country through the empowerment and engagement of our people across the globe, providing solutions that bring your heart home. You can find us at www.integrateddiasporaservices.com. All social media, we're on all social media platforms. And please subscribe to our YouTube channel, where you'd have access to this information and all other information that the diaspora needs to know about doing business back home. Email us at integrateddiasporaservices@gmail.com or call us at 852-7716 or 347-737-0478. Today, I take great pleasure in introducing the speakers who will be making this moment great. The first, we have Mr. Leighton Smith, Chief Representative Officer, VMBS, United Kingdom. Sorry about that. Mr. Leighton Smith, he is the Chief Representative Officer of VMBS United Kingdom. Mr. Leighton Smith's relationship with Victoria Mutual began in 1995. In this role as Chief Representative Officer, he has direct responsibility and oversight for the Victoria Mutual operations in the United Kingdom, United States, and Canada. Sir Andrew James, Chairman of the Real Estate Board and Commissions of Strata Corporation in Jamaica. He is an experienced managing director with a demonstrated history of over 20 years working in the real estate industry, skilled in negotiation, coaching, sales, team building, and rentals. Mr. James is also the founder of A.S. James and Associates. Tameka Jordan, attorney at law and legal consultant. She has solid track record for over 15 years, with over 15 years success and expertise in various areas of law. Then we have Mr. Lenworth Kelly, Chairman of the Incorporated Master Builders Association of Jamaica. Mr. Kelly is an experienced civil engineer with over 30 years experience in the industry and in managing major development projects across the island. Then we have Roxan Wais-Shirley. Roxan Wais-Shirley, who is a marketing manager of Guardsman, and Renee Menzies-McCallum, the managing director at IProtect Solutions Limited. Collectively, these women have over 30 years experience in their field. Finally, but of course, none the least, Natalie Fowler, communication coordinator of NHT. Natalie has over 18 years experience working with NHT
and boasts a vast knowledge of NHT products and services and will engage the audience more and same. Ladies and gentlemen, have an awesome afternoon.
Thank you so much, Nordia. Thank you so very much for your able way, the able way in which you handle these situations. Are we still having that tape now? We're really excited to see a little bit more about IDS.
Jamaica, land we love, full of so many beautiful places, memories, people, so rich in culture, resources, and opportunities that it is more than enough to want to bring the heart back home. So many of us have left our homeland seeking new opportunities and exploration of the world, and now many of us in the diaspora are trying to find ways to show our love for our homeland and those we left behind. It is this unfulfilled need of the Jamaican diaspora that has inspired the creation of our company, Integrated Diaspora Services Limited. We help bridge the gap between what is and what could be for many Jamaicans living and working abroad. We provide access to the knowledge and support they need to conduct business transactions in Jamaica from anywhere in the world. Our vision is to bring the hearts back home for the betterment of our homeland, Jamaica. Through our worldwide service providers and partnerships, we provide care services that are designed to meet the many needs of the diaspora, spanning from their commercial and regulatory needs to the very personal and intimate needs of their families back home. That is why
the United States chooses IDS.
Ni hao, Jungo chinza IDS.
United Kingdom chooses IDS.
The Caribbean chooses IDS.
Kazakhstan, IDS, Tanzania, Afrika inachagua mawazo ili kuleta uzalendo.
Kenya inachagua IDS.
Canada chooses IDS.
Because they bring our heart home.
let us help you bring your heart back home to Jamaica in the ways that matter most, both to you and your loved ones.
Heart back home to the things I know, to the place I know.
Amazing, amazing. Wouldn't you like to bring your heart back home? Where is your heart? At this time, I'm going to ask you as well, just to drop in the chat where you're tuning in from. We want to know where you're from. We want to know where you're settling now. You know, you know that every Jamaican is in every nook and cranny of this world, you know. I said it the last time. So we just want to know where you are. Let us see if we can get any surprises today. And I'm just going to remind you as well as soon as you come on, a little housekeeping matter, just to mute your microphones. You know, we don't want any additional entertainment for the afternoon. At this time, oh, beautiful. I see them popping in London, England, Nottingham, UK. I see them popping in Florida. Whoa, welcome. A warm Jamaican welcome to everybody, right? And so as we continue to show you, as we continue to navigate this route, owning your piece of the rock in Jamaica. You know, I said it the last time that when you know you have a title, it starts with a tiara and it starts with your passport. But when you know you have a title for a piece of the place where your navel string is, you know, it's a feeling of joy. It's the pride. You know, yes, I know your own properties overseas, but there is just something about Jamaica. There is just something about when the plane touched down and you feel the breeze. There is something about the way we cook with food. There is just something about Jamaica. And so, who better able to show us the way? Who better able to show us the offerings than the big wigs are out today, you know. It's no little plebs we're dealing with today, you know. The chairman of the real estate board and commission of Strata Corporation in Jamaica. What a title. Woo! is here today. He's going to give you information, and then we have a few minutes afterwards where we will answer some questions. So you can drop your questions in the chat, but importantly, we ask that you put your contact information. So whatever isn't answered online today, we will be sure to be in touch with you to give you the information. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, put your hands together and make welcome Mr. Andrew James.
Greetings, 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 each and every one. It is indeed a pleasure. I'm happy to be here to share with you all what is happening in Jamaica. Today, I want to share with you the role and function of the Real Estate Board and the Commission of Strata Corporation. Before I begin, let me first share with you the history of the Real Estate Board. Dealers and Developers Act and the establishment of the Real Estate Board is the result of several attempts to bring order to the conduct of the real estate business in order to protect members of the public who use the services of real estate dealers and salesmen to purchase property or who contract private land with housing developers. So in 1987, the act was passed, and as such, we have the Real Estate Dealers and Developers Act. Now let's start the functions of the Real Estate Board. The function of the Real Estate Board is to regulate and monitor the practice of real estate, as well as the sale of land through development schemes. Functions of the Real Estate Board are outlined in Section 5 of the Real Estate Dealers and Developers Act. In the execution of its function, the board has the power to consider and determine applications for registration as real estate dealers and real estate salesmen, and license and renewals of license to engage in the practice of real estate business as real estate dealers and real estate salesmen, and also to monitor the activities of real estate developers. So each year, each license agent has to renew their license, of course, with the Real Estate Board, and now they also have to do continuous training to ensure that they can meet requirements of all. So I do know a number of persons here today are interested in becoming, getting involved in the real estate business, and also those registering to be developers, land developers. So anyone who wishes to carry out a development scheme must, before commencing such development, apply to the Real Estate Board for registration as a developer. Application must be accompanied by payment of the prescribed fee. He or she must also provide the name, address, location of the scheme, copies of the approved plans, and any other information required. Registration is required where the number of lots into which the land is intended to be subdivided exceed 5, or where the number of units or strata lots exceed 5, or where the person proposing to carry out the development scheme is carrying out development scheme of whatever size in the last 24 months. So anything over 5 lots or 5 strata lots, you must apply to the Real Estate Board. A registered developer is required to renew his or her license registration with the board on April 1 annually, unless he or she is no longer carrying out any development schemes. The board maintains a register of all real estate dealers, salesmen, and developers, approved, of course, by the board. This register also contains other details, including as required under the Real Estate Dealers Developers Act. The register is kept at the office of the board and is available for inspection by the public during office hours. It may also be viewed online. State Board. Then we have the inspectors. The Real Estate Board appoints persons to act as inspectors for the purpose of assisting the board in the discharge of its functions. Inspectors are empowered through the Act to request in writing from any applicant or license holder information as it relates to his or her practice. This also includes information regarding development schemes as the inspector may reasonably require. That inspector may also specify a date within which information should be provided, considering the scope and nature of the information requested. The inspector may also specify by written notice, give directions as to time and place the information should be provided. Inspectors also have the power, where authorized by a warrant issued by the Justice of the Peace, to enter at all reasonable times any premises or place where he has reasonable grounds for believing that such documents may be found, and to examine and take possession of any such documents. Code of Ethics. Specific to its monitoring functions, the board ensures that regulated real estate professionals abide by the Real Estate Dealers and Developers Regulation Code of Ethics. This demands that they conduct their affairs with integrity and honesty. They should also desist from any conduct which can potentially bring the profession into disrepute. Among the legislative, as well as general best practice guidelines real estate professionals are expected to follow. 1. Ensuring that the content of advertising published by him or her comply with the requirements of the Act and regulations. This includes the accuracy of the content of the advertisement and include the name, registration, information of the professionals involved, and as much information about the land unit as is practical. So it's important that a developer, when he's going to advertise any property, give what you advertise, that's what you should deliver. That's what should have been approved by the parish council. Registration certificate should be displayed in a conspicuous position in his or her office. Code of Ethics. Dealers must maintain an office used, this for real estate dealers, used specifically for practicing real estate. The dealer must display a sign on the outside of his or her building bearing the business name. Dealers and salesmen must report to the board any unprofessional or dishonest conduct of another dealer, salesman, or developer. Dealers and salesmen should never discourage any party to a transaction in which he or she is involved from seeking legal counsel. A professional should never become involved in any conduct which is or could be perceived to be a conflict of interest, such as representing both the purchaser and the vendor in a transaction. Real estate dealer or salesman should never knowingly permit any property under his control to be used unlawfully. The board also owns and operates the Real Estate Training Institute. We call it RETI. The institute provides pre-licensing courses for real estate dealers, salesmen, and property managers. They also provide anti-money laundering training, local land law examination, and of course, continuing professional development. Anti-money laundering proceeds of crime. The board also has regulatory authority and requirement under the proceeds of crime legislative regime. And more specifically, the proceeds of crime, and I said designated non-financial institution, real estate dealers order, which was passed in April 2014, for which the real estate board is a competent authority. These and other pieces of legislation seek to ensure that the risk of money laundering and terrorist funding is mitigated in the industry. International laws such as the Terrorism Prevention Reporting Entities Regulation 2010 mandates international standards for reporting to which Jamaica must comply. Trust account developers. Every registered developer must lodge all deposits received from clients under prepayment contract into a trust account. The trust account is to be maintained with an authorized financial institution. Once the trust account has been established, the developer must report to the real estate board, giving full details, including the name of the financial institution and the branch with which the trust account is maintained, and the account number, the name and address of each purchaser under contract, the amount of money received from each purchaser, and the total payment to date into the account. This will allow the board to monitor and exercise better oversight of such monies and offer some amount of protection of purchasers' money. The board interests. The board will also register an interest in the title via a mortgage. The charge protects the purchasers who have paid in the development scheme prior to the development being completed. This charge is lodged in instances where the purchaser's funds have been used in compliance with what is permissible under the Real Estate Dealers and Developers Act. This charge allows the board to protect the purchaser's funds until their contractual obligation has been fulfilled, and in the event the developer is not able to complete the development scheme, we are able to negotiate, protect, and dispose of the property. The board of directors may take the decision to declare a development scheme as failed by virtue of its functions in monitoring the activities of developers and the determination that the unit cannot be completed and handed over. In enforcing the charge, the board may take the necessary steps to take control of the trust account being held for the purchasers and sell the property to allow for refunds to purchasers in the development scheme. Okay. So, as I mentioned to you about the Real Estate Training Institute, let me also share with you now about this Strata Corporation. But just before we go to the Strata Corporation, last thing about the development scheme that I want to point out to each and every one. When developers advertise units or lots for sale, dealers and developers stipulate that the advertisement must clearly clear from whom the approval was the scheme, from whom the approvals for the schemes were obtained, where and when the plans, drawings, and specification, limited time of commencement and completion of the scheme, and of course the location of the land and its physical features. Last but not least, let's discuss now the Commission of Strata Corporation. In 2010, the Commission of Strata Corporation was established under an amendment to the Registration of Strata Titles Act. The CSC shares a CEO, board of directors, physical location, certain administrative functions with the real estate board. However, the two entities are separate creatures of statute. Functions of the Commission. The functions of the Commission are to monitor, regulate, and supervise corporations incorporated under the Act, keep a register of such corporations to be known as the Register of Strata Corporations, C, to facilitate the resolution of disputes, in particular those between a corporation and a proprietor arising from any matter to which the Act relates. D, consider complaints from proprietors that the amount of contribution levied is unreasonable or inequitable. And E, enforce the bylaws. What is a strata unit? In strata corporation, where there is individual ownership of strata lots, as well as shared ownership over common areas. Registration Strata Titles Act identifies the boundaries of a strata lot as the center of the floor, wall, or ceiling between such strata lot. The owner, therefore, has title to the inner section of the unit, while the corporation has a responsibility for the external sections. External sections include roof, common plumbing, common lighting, laundry facilities, and any other amenities that are shared. So, for those persons not clear about the strata unit, let me just quickly say it again. The Act identified boundaries of the strata lot as the center of the floor, wall, or ceiling between such strata lot. The owner therefore has title to the inner sections of the unit, while the corporation has a responsibility for the external sections. Advantages of owning a strata unit. These include owning your own living space while sharing the responsibility of the maintenance of the physical plants and landscape. Secondly, strata corporations usually have facilities such as pools, tennis courts, and security arrangements which have been otherwise too expensive for the individual owner to have or maintain on his or her own. It is therefore important that prospective owners are aware of these arrangements before buying such property. Annual returns. The Commission is also responsible for the collection and review of annual returns from each corporation. The Executive Committee of the corporation is responsible for the filing of annual returns to the Commission within 120 days of the end of the financial year. Annual returns include audited financial statements or a copy of the accounts prepared in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles for the entire financial period just ended. Minutes of general meeting, proof of insurance coverage, or unanimous decision not to insure. This allows the corporation to better monitor the activities, actions, and decisions of the corporation and take corrective measures where necessary. In the interest of time, I will stop here, but I will be willing to answer all your questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. James. It's a pity we didn't know all these things long time ago. Just a pity, you know? But
yes.
Information is key. All right, so thank you so much again. And I just want to say big up to all the people. I soon tell you where they're logging in from. But Mr. James, we know your schedule is very busy, so we have a few questions. And as I said, in the interest of time, those that we will not address online, we know that IDS will be in contact with you and we can respond, accordingly. So one of the first questions we got was, how big is a lot? I believe it spoke specifically to when you mentioned the 5-lot criterion. They're asking how big is a lot?
It depends on the development. You have lots, 5,000 square feet lots, 6,000. You have quarter-acre lots, you have half-acre lots. So it depends on the type of development that you're doing.
So is there a minimum? Is there a minimum size?
I'd want to say I would not want to go say 4,500 square feet.
Thank you very much. All right. Next question is registration available online?
Yes, you can register online.
Especially with COVID now.
With COVID, yes, indeed.
Online, right. Okay, they're asking again, how long has this entity been established and how far back do the records go?
Sorry, I didn't hear the question.
How long has this entity been established? They're speaking about your entity. And how far back do your records go?
Yes. Okay, so okay, thanks. The real estate. I'm not sure who's that, Peter?
That's not this Peter at all.
We're gonna ask that you mute your microphones. We will have some entertainment later, but not at this point in time. I'm not quite ready to dance again yet, so please mute your microphones. Go ahead, Mr. James.
Yes. 1987.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Amazing.
Yes, and actually we're now looking at amending some of the laws to ensure that we keep everyone in check.
Right. And the final question for you on this medium, and I think it's coming from how far back your records go, because maybe somebody is having an experience. They're saying, why are there so many incomplete schemes and the purchasers are unable to get their deposits back?
I would say if you are aware of purchasers not getting their funds, please don't hesitate to contact the real estate board. Unless you report it, we might not be aware. So it's important that you contact the real estate board. I'll leave the information after this meeting, or during this meeting, I'll send information for the real estate board.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Can I ask a question? Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Renee, can I ask a question? Yes, just towards the end of your presentation, you mentioned something about strata. I'm not certain if I got the correct terminology. Did you say strata? What I wanted to know is this strata similar to gated communities?
No. So strata is like an apartment.
Okay.
And the gated community is like a townhouse. So we're actually looking now that it should be going to the Parliament to also look at the gated communities. Okay.
Okay. Thank
can
you
I
so
just
much
quickly share some information with you?
Gated community.
Oh, sorry.
No, can you hold just 1 second? We're going to ask that you direct all questions through the chat and we will address them. So you can go ahead and finish your point, Mr. James.
Yes, I just want to leave the information for the Real Estate Board and Strata Corporation for their website, www.reb.gov.jm. Our contact number, 926-9748-9 or 920-2950.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much. We know there are many questions out there, but we have many presenters and we're, pressed for time. And as a result, we have to keep it very tight. One thing we ask is that you post the questions in the chat and also include your contact information that we might address them accordingly and efficiently. Mr. James, I just want to thank you so much for presenting today. I'm sure many, many questions were answered, and I'm sure there are a few more questions that will be answered. Thank you so much for spending the time, to educate and to help to bring people's hearts back home.
My pleasure.
All right, so moving right along, let me just tell you where some of the persons are logging in from. We have persons from Switzerland. We have Maryland, well, all over America. So, I have to mention the different countries because you can't just say America because the states are different, right? So you have Maryland, I have persons from California, I have persons from Texas, Connecticut, Arizona, Groveland, Florida. She was very specific, okay? And we have Bermuda. We have persons from France. I see some of my family and some of my friends online from France, some in Canada, some in Toronto, Canada, and some in St. Louis. Every nook and cranny. So we just want to extend a very warm welcome from the Jamaican Diaspora en France and Integrated Diaspora Services. So I don't know if you had this experience when you were a little boy or a little girl, but I remember being in all-age school because it was all-age school, and we used to have the savings on a Monday where you go in now and you come with your little bank book and you can't wait for the page finish and you add up your money and you start to boast how much money you have, and then you would learn your money is sitting at Victoria Mutual Building Society. And I believe these principles have taught us to save, to put aside a little bit, reduce the donut and the sugar bun on Mondays and put a little bit more in savings. And so there's this long history with VMBS. Their family, it's comfortable doing business with them. I don't work for them, neither do they pay me anyway, but it's a really good institution to be associated with. And so this afternoon, we have a gentleman with us who is the chief representative, yes, Jesus, I think he's in the UK based, from Victoria Mutual Building Society. Yes, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Leighton Smith. Mr. Smith, take it away.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, and thank you so much for a wonderful introduction. I have to say afternoon because I'm in the United Kingdom, but good morning to my fellow Jamaicans and friends of Jamaica, wherever you are in this world. As Madam Chair says, from every nook and cranny, we're going to be there and we're going to make our presence felt. So it's absolutely wonderful. Thank you, the organizers, IDS, specifically Ms. Teape and Mr. Purvitt, for extending the invitation for Victoria Mutual to join in the presentation this afternoon. Now, as we have been discussing before, the purpose of today's meeting is to speak about the mortgage possibility. Now, Victoria Mutual, it has the word mutuality or mutual there, and mutuality is in our DNA because we have been assisted Jamaicans and friends of Jamaica at home and certainly abroad in the diaspora to achieve this financial well-being. And of course, it started from a place of financial inclusion. We're committed to mutuality because it means that we're owned by and we run for the benefit of our members. So on the right of your screen, you will see all the entities, or what we call strategic business units, or if you want to call them companies, that form a part of the Victoria Mutual Group. So a lot of persons, when they think of Victoria Mutual, they think of savings. They often think about just this one entity, the building society. But we have a pensions arm, an investment arm, there's a foundation, there's the finance limited, there's a wealth management arm, there's money transfer, property services, and we're also in insurance, a one-stop shop, so to speak. Now, today's presentation helps to communicate to you what our purpose is. And that is, of course, we combine our expert knowledge with value-added solutions so that we can help those who desire to achieve financial independence. Now, when you think of Victoria Mutual, as was mentioned by Madam Chair, you think about savings. And the fact is, for every stage of your journey, we offer a product that suits your need within the Victoria Mutual Financial Group. So starting from child age, from you're born, literally from your born. Once you have your birth certificate, your parent can come in with that birth certificate and your name, then they can operate a savings account for you. To young adults, where we offer savings instruments again that are linked to some scholarships that individuals can benefit from. Then they're going to move to want to get the first car, the insurance, the rent, move to young adulthood. We're thinking about investing. We're thinking about purchasing a home. You have middle age, paying off the mortgage, and of course, retirement. So we used to say for every move you make, we still believe in that fact. Every step or every stage of the journey, we're going to be there. In today, again, we're focusing on the mortgage process. Now, Mark Twain said that the secret of getting ahead, is simply getting started. And the information that we're going to share with you, it's based on our knowledge and based on what we have come to experience with members who we interact with and individuals who we interact with in the diaspora. And the information, of course, we hope will be beneficial because it's important that we appreciate that the mortgage process that some of us have come to understand and appreciate based on the diaspora market that we exist in, it is different. There are some similarities, but it's going to be different from what's happening in Jamaica. And there are three simple things I want you to remember from the presentation today. When you're thinking of a mortgage: save, search, and secure. And that's the basis of the presentation: save, search, and secure. Now, when it comes to saving, what we have to help individuals appreciate that you have to save towards that ultimate goal. Buying a house is possibly the largest asset acquisition any individual will ever make in their life. And it's not just simply getting up to say, I'm going across the street to get a basic item such as bread or milk. It is an involved process. And therefore, what we have done is that we have come up with, for example, a product known as the iSave for Home that would help individuals to save towards that ultimate goal. We used to talk about PAD, now we talk about 1-1 Cocoa Full Basket. It's the same thing. It's a dedicated monthly saving plan that will help you to achieve the ultimate goal of home ownership down the road. And of course, we tie to that product some special mortgage benefits, and you have the flexibility because you're in the diaspora to save within Jamaican, Canadian, US, and GPP. I know my friends in France are going to say, where's the currency for us? But the fact is that, where Jamaica is concerned, these are the things that we're now saving in. But of course, whatever currency you earn, that can easily be converted into Jamaican dollars. So it's important that we save everything towards ultimately that goal. And you're going to see later why it is that you must save. All right. The next phase is search. We mentioned earlier, Victoria Mutual Property Services, that's our sister company. And it's important that you search for the right property. Why? Because when you begin to look in the market space, real estate is a big deal. And again, purchasing, it's going to be an exciting venture, but it can be challenging when you're purchasing thousands of miles from your interests. The UK, for example, is 5,000 miles from Jamaica. And it's important that we appreciate that this is going to be an involved and a great undertaking. So it's important that you have a clear understanding of the lending process and that you're able to identify the right property for you. So key steps when searching. Think of it. What is my reason for purchasing this property? Is it that I'm thinking that it's going to be an investment property that I'm going to probably invest with Airbnb, or I'm going to rent it out so I can make some money? Because if it's going to be that kind of property, then you're going to need to think of where it's going to be or located in relation to amenities. Location, location, location. If you're thinking of this property, for example, that you're going to retire there, then you're going to want to think of how close you are to certain facilities, medical facilities, supermarkets. You're going to want to think about safety, as how some persons would want to think about it. I mean, Jamaica is a beautiful country and we love it. So therefore, when we talk about how it is or where we're going to want our property to be located, it's important that we think clearly as to what it is that we want. There are some individuals we have come across that have a great affinity to the country, but they have left Jamaica so long ago. And where they left, either it be the district or community that they left years ago, it's no longer the same. But the affinity that they hold in their heart, it's what they remember. And the fact is that when you go and look back, it's not necessarily what it was then. And therefore you have to think about that. And that's why it's important that you inspect this property. You have to see it. If you're not able to travel to Jamaica to see it, then have a trusted friend. Even if the friend is not so much trusted, but let's say you have an enemy, we're just kidding when I say that, but from the perspective that you find someone with your tastes and preferences so that they can be your eyes. Pictures can be taken from any angle and it can look absolutely beautiful, but you need to have someone to inspect the property. And you need to think about whether or not you truly can afford this. Why? Because some persons will tend to say, boy, I visit the country and this look good, but we don't think of our obligations back home, the country we reside, that is, when we're visiting the country, visiting Jamaica. And therefore, what we tend to do is that we may stretch ourselves. But the fact is, based on this tip, you don't have to, or you don't need to buy the perfect house as your first purchase. Even if this is in Jamaica, start small, build equity, start with what you need. And as you progress through life, you go after you want. And sometimes too, for returning residents, we see some persons constructing 4 or 5 bedroom house because the kids are going to come visit. The reality is, guess what? You have weaned those children, you have sent them on their merry way. And therefore, when you go down to Jamaica and you're living your life, you don't want nothing more than a 2 or 3 bedroom. Because at the end of the day, when they come and visit you, you don't want them to stay too long. We know it's your family and you love them. But the fact is that you don't want where 2 persons are going home, retiring, and you have a 4 or 5 bedroom house. What are you going to be doing with it? It's going to be hard. So be realistic as to what it is that you're going to be doing. So some points to note when it is that you have seen this property and you're going to make an offer. You heard from the real estate board, Mr. James, just a while ago. You have to remember the property address, the location. Think of the offer price. Think of the down payment and the financing terms. Something that is particularly important that a lot of persons often forget about is point number 5 here, the closing cost. There are some costs that you will incur, which we'll see later on in the presentation. Pay attention to the closing date and possession date, and also when the offer expires, because this, of course, is critical. So now the path of securing the property. What is involved where that is concerned? Now, the mortgage process in itself is very simple. Excuse me. It starts off with what is called a pre-qualification. And again, we're going to see the difference between a pre-qualification and a pre-approval. The two are often confused, but they're very different. So you get a pre-qualification where we do a basic assessment to see whether or not you can afford the property. And any lender can do that for you. But of course, it's always important that you stick with lenders who have the expert knowledge, who know what they're doing and can advise you. You start with a pre-qualification to say, okay, can I afford a 20 million, a 25 million, or a $30 million property? We then get into the application where it becomes more involved, where we ask you for bills and receipts. We're going to ask you about your life. We're going to become your best friend, because the questions you're going to ask, you're going to say, why are you asking me so much question? But guess what? Remember, we say mutuality. Everybody is a member. So I am going to take, in this case, Miss Ramsey's money that she has been saving since she's a child, and I'm going to turn around and lend it to you. But I am accountable to Miss Ramsey. So I need to know everything as to where my money, where her money, and where the company's money is going. It's just as simple as that. And then you have adjudication, where you have a person who is sitting down, separate and apart from the mortgage advisor who you have met with, who is looking on the application solely based on numbers. So the numbers must make sense, because again, they have to think about Miss Ramsey's money that they're lending to you. And then once you get an offer, in other words, you're approved, we then extend to you an offer, you accept the offer. That process between you signing and accepting the offer can take anywhere from 6 to 8 weeks. So you're talking the entire process taken from start to finish roughly. Usually we say 90 days, where the mortgage is registered and of course disbursement of the loan amount. What do lenders look for? Lenders look for two things: your ability to repay the debt. So we're going to review your income versus your expenses, and we're going to take into consideration the potential mortgage monthly payment at that point in time to see whether or not you can afford it. Sometimes we will see individuals say, yeah, man, I can band the belly and make the sacrifice and really pay the mortgage. But the reality is we need to ensure that you're able to live to pay that mortgage. We're not in the business of putting persons out of their home. We're in the business of putting people in their homes. And therefore, it's important that you are able to afford this property. We also look at your attitude towards debt. Now, that is reflected in your credit score. Where you are, whichever region, we are going to ask you to get a credit report from that region. Because one of the things that is important is that we need to see how you have been handling credit in the past. We have seen situations already. Sometimes a relative come and we help them with either we take out a phone for them or we take out a gas bill for them and they make it run bad and we say, guess what? It's not going to impact me. But when it actually comes back to bite is when you're now ready to take out a mortgage. You see the ideal property and yes, you can get it. But your credit score has been impacted by that bill that has not been paid. So we need to be mindful of those things. For ability to repay, proof of income. If you're employed, we're going to ask for you for your job letter, your pay slips, your bank statements, your annual tax returns, and we're going to complete the affordability tests. If you're self-employed, then we're going to get for 2 years bank statements. This time we're going to look at your audited financial statements. We want to see again the tax returns, and we're going to do the affordability testing as well. When it comes to your attitude towards debt, credit report, it was required for every single borrower, including those in Jamaica as well. What it is basically a numerical snapshot of the information in your credit report, and we use it to assess your credit worthiness. We want to see your credit score fall within the minimum of the fair category. The higher the score, the better it is. If it is that you have a bad score just now, still talk to us, because we can give you tips as to how it is that you can improve the credit score by way of improving payment habits, paying up the debts, reducing your overall total debt, and how it is that you can keep revolving debt at a minimum. Now, it's important that we be prepared for the costs. Unfortunately, sometimes individuals only think of the deposit. But the deposit can range from anywhere between 10 to 25%, dependent upon the vendor. The norm we see in the market is 10%. So it means that we will lend, that's Victoria Mutual will lend the difference, which is 90% of the purchase price or value, whichever is lower. You need to think of, for example, the credit report fee. There's a processing fee for the loan between 0.5 to 2%. And then there's some professional fees because there's some reports that you're going to need to get, the valuation report, quantity surveyors report, surveyors ID report, there's transfer duty, stamp duty, legal fees, mortgage registration costs. So the norm, worst case scenario, is if you add 10 plus at least 12, that's 22. Then you add at least another 2, that's 24. Round it off at 25. Any property you see now, what we're saying to you, make sure you have at least 25% of the value or the purchase price of that property to start the ball rolling. And that's why you see the importance of saving. Save the bonus. Save any additional amount that you get in any increases. If you stop making a payment on a loan, continue to save that because you were doing without it before. Granted, some of these fees, the professional fees, they're not paid upfront, as is the case of the deposit. They're going to be needed over or during the duration of that 3-month or 90-day window. But the fact is that you're still needed to go and have it. You still need to have it. So it's important that we save, save, save. Now, when you're thinking of the mortgage, of course, I'm going to tell you to come to Victoria Mutual. Why? Because we have the best rate out there, 4.25 or 5% on these currencies that are here, the foreign currencies. If you're going to be a first-time homeowner in Jamaica, then we have a special that we can offer you at 6.95. It goes up until July, and we can at least talk to you if you've seen this rate here in the IDS. Then you can go through the team at IDS and make contact with us, and so we can at least ensure you get this 6.95. There's discounts that we do offer, 50% on valuations. And of course, we have a dedicated and knowledgeable team that are here to actually assist. Now, how much you can afford, it depends on how much you put down. Remember, we said that if it's a situation where you put down 10%, you're going to borrow 90. If you put down 25%, you're going to borrow 75%. And that's where you talk about loan to value, because how much are you actually borrowing? And then we look at your debt to income ratio. We hear people talking about DSR. What's that? Basically, we're saying how much of your income is covering debt. And any legal activity that you do that brings in income, we will count. So if you can bake and you sell and you make some money, yes. If you can do hair good and you make some money, yes. If you know how to do a little trade and you do something on the side, and it can count as income, are you willing to prove that? Remember, we said that we're going to get into your business. So you need to let us know these things so that we are the experts and can say, okay, this can be used, this cannot be used. And it will help to determine your affordability. Now, one of the things is that persons will ask, I'm contributing to the NHT. Do you do the joint financing? Yes, we do that. We are able to combine the VMBS mortgage with what it is that you're able to get from NHT. I know we have a presenter that's coming right after, and she'll tell you more as to how it is that you can access your NHT benefit from overseas or being in the diaspora market. But again, yes, you can apply through Victoria Mutual. We simply submit your information to the National Housing Trust. They come back to us and tell us how much you're supposed to get and the rate of interest. No, we do not determine that. The NHT tells us exactly if you're supposed to get the 6.5, you will get it. At what rate? They will give it to you. Should you apply as a single person or a joint applicant? The main concern here is affordability. If you're single, can you afford it by yourself? Yes. If you're married, I will tell you, make sure your spouse is on it. As I said to them often, I have to make sure I put my wife on it. I want to continue to live my life. But at the end of the day, the reality is that you have to think carefully who you're putting on your property. You notice this statement here, be absolutely certain you wish to have a joint applicant on your property title, as it can prove very costly later on to remove that individual. And it's important to note that we're going to consider the same thing for that individual, their income and their credit history. Now, pre-qual, what it is a basic review of your income and credit worthiness to determine how much money you can borrow and what price property you can afford. Ladies and gentlemen, it is not a commitment. It is a useful way to help home buyers to avoid unpleasant surprises. And very often, Mr. James spoke about the real estate board a while ago. You find that persons within the real estate board, real estate brokers, they would simply ask you get a pre-qualification before they take your commitment seriously. Because it's important that there are no unpleasant surprises down the road. And these things can be very costly. So what are the key takeaways? Identify the property that is right for you, not for your friend, not for somebody else who you have seen. It's what you want. It ticks all the boxes in your search criteria list. Be sure that you inspect the property. Use a real estate agency. I'm going to push Victoria Mutual Property Services as well. But the reality is that you can really check any realtor. You want to ensure that the property is carefully inspected. If you're unable to do it yourself, then you can do it through a trusted friend or relative. Be sure your finances are in order to cover all the costs. You have the deposits, you have the closing costs, the fees and the charges. And then after you have the mortgage, you have the monthly payment. You're gonna also have maintenance fees. We spoke earlier, somebody mentioned about gated communities. Yes, you have to think about your monthly maintenance fee as part of your mortgage. You have to pay it. You have to think about repairs, insurance, taxes. These things you also have to ensure that you keep the equity up in your property. The product, you have to make sure the mortgage product is right for you, meaning that whether it's going to be a foreign currency loan or a Jamaican dollar loan, have a clear understanding of the lending process, take time to go through your sale agreement, take time to go through it with your lawyer to ensure that you're advised properly. You must act. You must comply as quickly as possible with requests that are made of you, whether it's from the lending institution or your legal representative, because your time is your money. And the buying and selling of property is in accordance with the prescribed rules of Jamaica. There's no man or no shortcut, no quick fix, no do a thing. It's not possible. It is a set process, right? And if you're able to do that, then certainly we'll gladly support and help you along the way. These are our offices in the diaspora. In the United Kingdom, we have 3 locations in Brixton, Tottenham, and Birmingham. In the United States, we have an office in Florida, in Miramar. And of course, the newest kid on the block is our New York office that's located in Brooklyn. You can email us at manager@myvmgroup.com. We also facilitate online mortgage acceptance through our web portal or mortgage portal there. And you can call us toll-free from Canada and the United Kingdom. And I must say that we do quite a bit of business development activity in Canada where we direct persons to our online channels. It has been a pleasure sharing this presentation with you, and I hope you continue to enjoy today's webinar.
Mr. Smith, I think you covered everything. I think we can just log off and just go home right at this point in time. Thank you so much. This is amazing. Let me tell you something. Sometimes I wish I could just be 19 again, you know, because the things I'm learning now at 40 something, you know, I just didn't know at 19 or 20. So we could make some better sound decisions. And but you know what, it's never too late because we can also teach our children. And so this is critical, what is happening right now. This is pivotal. This is phenomenal. All right. So Mr. Smith, a few questions for you quickly. So one question is, if there was a previous mortgage with VM, and I am assuming it was in good stead, will that affect another loan?
You're right. Was it in good stead? How you have been paying the mortgage, it's critical to ensure that you have been paying that well. It always comes down to affordability. So we're going to take that monthly payment into consideration when we're doing the assessment, in addition to the new monthly payment.
Okay.
So
Beautiful.
in a short answer, if you can afford it, yes.
Awesome. How long are inactive accounts held?
Inactive accounts are held quite some time. If you had an inactive account from you were a child, it is still with us. It's still there. What you simply need to do is visit any of our offices or make contact with any of our overseas offices or member engagement center based on the number that's listed there. And then we can give you some information on that account and how you can get your records updated.
Excellent. There were a few other questions, but you actually answered them during your presentation about how, you know, what are the requirements. There was also a question about home improvements and stuff, but you know, you ably handled most of the questions that came popping in. But they were asking the same way you would give a loan for a mortgage, would you also facilitate a loan for expansion or home improvements?
Definitely, that is home improvement. So you go through the same requirements. What would happen in that instance is that the person would already have had a free title, hopefully. If they haven't had a free title, but let's say the loan is with Victoria Mutual, they'll simply come in and they're asking for a home improvement loan in that instance. If it is that they have the loan with another lending institution, sometimes, for example, if it is that they took out an NHT loan and NHT was the only provider of that debt, then what we'd have to do is that we'd have to take over that loan, and they would have to be paying it the loan very well as well. We'd have to look at their loan history. So we pay that out and also give them the additional amount to do with them.
Okay, awesome. A question from Deidre in France. Which credit company, she's asking, which credit company operates in France, in that region? She's asking. And I think a follow-up to that was, I think you did respond to it, if the credit report is from Jamaica or from the region that you live in.
It's from the region that you live in. Not, you wouldn't ask someone in the diaspora to get a credit report from Jamaica.
Right.
But internationally, what we have seen, those that are acceptable are Equifax and Experian. So they tend to be global. So you can look for those. If it is that you haven't found those, then what we're willing to do is that we have a panel for everything in terms of panel of lawyers, panel of evaluators. Based on their location in France, they will just find out or get a credit report from a credit rating agency in France. Once they present that, then we will do our necessary due diligence and then present that to our adjudication team for acceptance.
Okay, so you could do a panel thing and set up and do a special.
Right, exactly.
I hope that answers your question. Well, Fatima and Deidre are saying that's not in France, but I'm sure we can do a follow-up with it. Listen, let me say something to you. Not just for this question about the credit report, but Leighton, you touched on a very, 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 you know, when I say in Jamaica, you touch somebody can, because there are so many persons overseas who want to buy a property or build something out here and they have some experience. You know, I know personally of a story where the man was sending money to the girl and she would have take a picture every day on video and send him of where the property reached. And it wasn't his property at all. When he came to Jamaica, totally different something. Not one block or one bag of cement was bought. But we are so grateful for IDS, because you mentioned about a trusted friend, but integrated diaspora services, that is the purpose of them. They will be the on-the-ground people who will go and check on the thing, match it back with the title to make sure it's at the right place, the construction happen. They are the on-the-ground trusted source that you would now use to mitigate against all those challenges and to, you know, just make sure that everybody live in peace and harmony and nobody now have to go to a certain part of the island to get certain things done, you know? So we're just so grateful to you, Mr. Smith, for this presentation. It was ably handled. There was somebody commenting that they like your sense of intelligence. There's something going, you know? Yes, sir.
Okay, I need to let them talk to my boss so I can get a raise.
Right? So we just want to thank you again, Mr. Smith. And I'm sure, as I said, all questions will not be answered on this forum, but this is the gate. They will fly the gate and I'll let you in everybody right now. We'll open up the doors, we'll open up the portals, and we're now able to connect everybody from NHT to VM. I know you can't do anything without your lawyer, you know. Everybody is here online today. Security for surety, everything is present with us here today. All right. And so as we hop over, I just want to say greetings and salutations wherever in the world you might be logging in from at this moment. I am right here in Jamaica, in the hills of St. Catherine, nice and cool and easy and breezy on a Thursday afternoon, right? And I'm happy to host this event where I help you to bring your heart back to the place where you left your navel string. All right? At this point in time now, we're hopping over. So Mr. Smith spoke about VM. We know they combine with NHT because we know between VM now and NHT, the rates will be very low and extremely affordable. And so many persons overseas had a history in Jamaica where you used to store your little NHT and you used to, we're probably still doing it, right? And so we're gonna just glue the thing together now and show you how we just tighten it up and wrap it up, right? Coming to us right now from the National Housing Trust, the acting manager for advertising and communication support, corporate communication and marketing. Miss Natalie Fowler, please make her welcome.
Good afternoon, Renee, and everybody who has tuned in. Lord Renee, you couldn't keep it down just a little bit, but just a little update. Since yesterday, I'm not acting anymore as manager. My substantive post is a communication coordinator. But no matter where I am at the NHT, the knowledge always is there. And it is always my pleasure to give as much information about National Housing Trust as possible, because our aim is for every Jamaican to own a piece of this rock. And I would love the opportunity to share my screen. So let me just do that very quickly. The title of this presentation, Home Awaits You. And I love that I come after Andrew and I come after Leighton, because Leighton set a fitting stage about the real estate environment in Jamaica. And of course, Leighton would have talked about how you can benefit, how you can actually access a loan through one of the financial institutions of which, with which NHT is a partner. So I would like to talk to you starting with the National Housing Trust, why the NHT exists and what the NHT is all about, because fundamental to a relationship with the NHT is you are contributing to the National Housing Trust. And anybody who is contributing to a program, a scheme, they want to know what it is that they're contributing to and the benefits, and if it is an organization that you can actually trust. So I want to just in case there are persons who aren't aware as yet enough about NHT and what the NHT's mandate is, this presentation is for you. And of course, for everyone who wants to own a piece of our island home. So who is the National Housing Trust? The NHT was established in 1976. And since that period, almost 200,000 benefits, more than that, have been issued, which has really benefited well more than 700,000 Jamaicans right across the island. And the aim is to do that much more, even at a more rapid pace, as we continue into our development as a nation state, as a people. So we have a lofty vision, one we believe in, and we enjoy sharing it with persons because we want you to hold us to it. We are and we will be ranked among the leading housing finance institutions in the world, renowned for customer service and contribution to national development. Our mission is improving the quality of life of Jamaicans by facilitating home ownership and community development, particularly among low-income earners. And I will even interject here by saying that the NHT, because of this mission, it maintains the lowest interest rates on its loans anywhere in the island. And I would even dare say in the world, because there are NHT contributors whose loans are at 0% interest. So when they're repaying, the only thing they pay back on is the very loan itself. They pay no interest. That's how seriously NHT takes its mission of taking care of the housing need of its contributors, especially among those who are low-income earners. So what the NHT does fundamentally, since 1976, to add to and improve the existing supply of housing in Jamaica. You know that there had been a critical need from then, and there still is that need. And the NHT is there to ensure that we are improving on our housing stock. The next thing is that the NHT enhances the usefulness of its funds by promoting greater efficiency in the housing sector. And this is very important because one of the things that NHT does with the funds that it has is provide financing to developers. And by doing that, you would have seen private developers would have contributed to the housing stock of Jamaica. So I can give you some examples, like for example, Greater Portmore. It was one of the largest housing development projects, not just in Jamaica, but in the Caribbean. Over 10,000 houses were supplied to Jamaicans as a result of Greater Portmore. And there are many through NHT's more than 40-year history that have benefited from interim financing from the National Housing Trust. And of course, the NHT provides financial assistance to contributors who wish to build, buy, or repair their homes. And these are homes that are in Jamaica, of course, and the titles are resident in Jamaica's titles office, registrar of titles. So the route to get a loan from the National Housing Trust requires that an individual contributes. Now, I'm assuming that I'm talking to a group of persons who are living overseas, and maybe you have your permanent resident there, or you are a citizen there. And for such persons, we would register you as a voluntary contributor. And there are perhaps persons in this group who don't have a permanent residency status wherever you are in the world, or you're not a citizen in France or so, you don't have that kind of status and evidence in documentation. Even with that, you can still contribute to the NHT. So for the voluntary contributor, there is a route to get you to start contributing. And for the person who is not a legal resident or a citizen of a country that is outside of Jamaica, there is a route for you as well, and that is through the tax office. So the voluntary contributor, now I'll focus on that person for the time being. And these persons, the person who is eligible, you would be from the age 18 to 70, and you're either self-employed or employed overseas. And you could have been somebody who contributed to NHT before, and because of migration, you had to stop. Or maybe you had continued because you heard that you could continue even while you were contributing, even while you had migrated. So it is possible. Contributions, whether it is that you are just contributing or you had started contributing some time ago, be aware that your voluntary contributions is not a tax. It is a form of savings, and it is a form of savings that can benefit you directly in more than one ways. And one of the ways in which it benefits you directly is that this form of savings is actually refundable to you. What the NHD does for now is that it calls your contributions that you pay for 8 years, and for 7 years, and in the 8th year, you can get a refund of those contributions. So because of that, 2013 was 8 years ago. So today, this year, you can request a refund of those contributions. And we do have the facility on NHD's website for you to make a refund request for your contributions made in 2013 or before. But another beautiful thing about your voluntary contributions is that even after you have collected a refund, it does not take away your ability to access a loan. And we actually encourage you to take your refund. It's not something that we hold from you in any way at all. So that, because it's a form of savings, it is money that can be returned to you. Another thing that makes it beneficial is that your contributions, when you are ready to access a loan, to purchase a house or land, your contributions can actually help with going toward making your deposit payment or any other cost that you may incur as a result. Leighton mentioned a couple like the valuation report, your surveyor's ID report, whatever your contributions is. I can tell you when I was purchasing a property, that was in 2012, I needed money that I never even know which part, but could I find it? And it was my contributions that saved me. And when I checked it out for about, say, 5 years of contributions, I could get over $200,000. And that was a big help in 2012. And so your contributions, yes, consider it a form of savings. And so registration as a voluntary contributor is actually we try to make it as simple as possible. And another criterion is that you must be, because you must be a permanent resident or a citizen, we do have a form that is on our website, and it's called Voluntary Contributors Application Form. And there's our website address that you can go to access the form. And you can send this form to this email address that you're seeing right here, which is properties@nhd.gov.jm. Alternatively, I can give you my email address, and my colleague, whom I should have let you know that she's actually in the audience, her name is Kamisha Smith, and you could also send it to her email address as well. And my email address is Natalie Fowler, that is NATALIEFOWLER @nhd.gov.jm. And Kamisha, what we will do is write it in the group so that you will have access to both of them. So the voluntary contributors application form is one document you will need to complete in order to register to start contributing as a voluntary contributor. And there are other documents that you will also need along with that registration form that I just mentioned. This would be a copy of your TRN, because we imagine that you won't be coming to Jamaica anytime soon. And even if you are coming to Jamaica, you don't have to wait until you come to Jamaica in order to submit your documents to register as a voluntary contributor. There is a process whereby you can get copies, these documents copied, and then send them to us. But before you do send them, have them notarized. And for persons who are in Europe who do not have like notary public operating in that zone, you could have the consular office, the Jamaica consular office, notarize that the copies are the true copies of the original documents. So your registration, your tax registration number, your TRN card, the NIS card, the voter ID, whether it is a national voter ID that you would have gotten when you were in Jamaica, or your Jamaican driver's license, or even a foreign driver's license, or your passport as ID. We need proof of your overseas residence, whether it is the permanent residence or it is a passport that would have been issued by that country to you. And we need proof of age. That is either on your birth certificate, your passport, or your driver's license. So when you have those, if you have submitted those documents, and as I said, you can email them to us. You don't have to wait until you visit the island to come into our offices. Anywhere, of course, NHD has an office in every parish except Kingston. Kingston and St. Andrew share the same office, which is in St. Andrew, right next to Emancipation Park, if you remember Emancipation Park. And you don't have to wait until you actually touch down on the island. You can send them. We prefer that you send them by post, and you can also email them the notarized documents. If you email them, my email address again, Natalie Fowler @nhd.gov.jm, and we'll post the other email addresses in the chat. So we try to make it as convenient as possible. And what is more convenient to make your payment than going online? So you can either download the mobile app on your phone, or you can sign up onto NHD's online platform, which is called NHD Online. And of course, you go to www.nhd.gov.jm to sign up. And we require for voluntary contributors 3% of your declared income. When you look up the voluntary contributors registration form, you will see a line that asks you to declare your income. Once you declare your income, then you will know that from that income we require 3% of that, and we have flexible payment methods. As a voluntary contributor, I encourage everyone, just be mindful that the NHD expects that you pay on time. For each month's payment, your payment due date is up until the 14th of the next month. We encourage you to pay on time, regularly, every time, because in order for you to access the loan when you're ready to buy the house, you will need to be, you will need to show that you have been paying on time and in full every month. The benefits, the NHD housing benefits, loans, there are a number of ways in which to become a homeowner, buying house or buying land and then building. And the NHD will give you up to $6.5 million to purchase a house. And if you are combining your loan with some other eligible NHD contributor, then you will need to be, then that will give you up to $13 million combined. If you are purchasing land, because some people prefer that, or maybe it's not preference, but maybe that's that's the opportunity that comes to you. And if you do see land, you can get up to $2.5 million to purchase land. And the rest of the money that that NHT can lend you up to $6.5 million, you get to do construction. So if you do see land, up to $2.5 million NHT will lend you. So if you need more money, you can check with one of our finance partners, VMBS, Jamaica National, Scotiabank, First Caribbean, NCB. All the commercial banks are partners with the National Housing Trust, and you can get additional financing from them, right? So when you are ready to access the NHT loan, make sure that you have contributed on time, regularly, every month. Do not be late. Critically, if you are late, it sets you back, because one of the qualifying criterion for a voluntary contributor is that you must show 104 weeks or 2 years of contributions. If you used to contribute in the back, if you used to contribute in the back and you have contributed for at least 1 year, you will be required to contribute for another year before you are considered eligible to access an NHT loan. If you've never contributed to the NHT before, then it will mean you will starting this month, 2 years later, making your regular on-time payments, you become a qualified contributor, being able to access an NHT loan. You can get your loan up to age 70. So if there is anybody in this group who is, at an age where whether you're 18 or you are touching age 70, once you have not passed 70, you can access an NHT benefit. So I told you about those loan types already. If you want to borrow to buy land, up to $2.5 million is the maximum NHT will lend. If you are borrowing to purchase a house, we lend you up to $6.5 million. Of course, I reiterate, you can always combine your loan funds with another financing partner. I'd love to touch a little bit, and I'm stealing some time just in case I'm going over, because I love the idea of cluster housing. NHT has a policy called cluster housing, and what this allows, and if the IDS can get as many persons to participate in such a project, because this now allows for people, whether you know you one another or you don't, but you all have like interest of owning property, you can buy a piece of land that is big enough that can be subdivided into up to 9 lots, minimum of 3 lots. And if the benefit of that is that a big piece of land might cost a lot more money than one person can afford. But if persons combine from 3 to up to 18 persons combined, you have more funds to buy that piece of land. And there, I've seen on real estate websites, Andrew can attest to that, a number of real estate websites have large parcels of land. There are probably opportunities right there for you to ideate your own community, and from that come up with the funds between NHT and its cluster housing policy. Because when you calculate, when you multiply $2.5 million times 18, I think that's about $45 million. So if you were to find property that can be subdivided and shared amongst 18 persons, well, it's 9 lots that you can actually get out of a cluster, but it allows you to do so much more than, persons who will see one large lot and you can't afford it because it perhaps costs $10 million. So cluster housing is a potential opportunity for persons who are dreaming of starting and creating their own community, one that perhaps you could decide if you wanted to be gated, if you wanted to have electrical system that don't have the ubiquitous JPS poles and things like that. You can fashion it however you want to do it. So NHT is building right across the island, and that is our promise. 23,000 housing starts by 2021, and we are determined to fulfill that. If you as a voluntary contributor want to buy into one of these, it is possible as well. When NHT has its own housing units, its own schemes, whether it is houses or lots inside them, we will advertise to contributors on the NHT website and in local newspapers, letting persons know it's now time, such and such a scheme is available. You can make an application on the NHT website. These are some of the ways in which you can contact the National Housing Trust, make queries. I'm sure by now Kamisha has put it in the group, the email addresses. My phone number is 807-3140, and you can WhatsApp me a message, or you can voice note me if you need more information, or if you need to get any kind of enabling to start your voluntary contributor registration. And the Kamisha's number, hers is 829. Kamisha's number is 829. Sorry, one second. 829-0187. So feel free to ask your questions. I wanted to touch on a few other things, including how persons who aren't residents or permanent or citizens of an overseas country can contribute. But if you do want to engage me further, I can talk to you about that, because that also is a process. And anybody who is a Jamaican citizen, once you're in the diaspora, you too can contribute to the NHD. And once you contribute to the NHD, you're guaranteed a housing benefit. Whether it is you want a loan to buy a house, or a loan to buy land, or a loan to build, or it is that you see a house inside of an NHT scheme that is brand new and you want to make an application for that scheme. Loads more information to give, but Renee gave me limited time. Thank you very much. And I'm sure she's going to make up for it in the future. Thank you so much, Renee, for the invitation once again.
Natalie, let me tell you something. Thank you so much. But today is just kind of a touch and go, because you know persons have busy lifestyles. So what we try to do is just give them a little taste. You know, when you go for buy Guinea and you taste and buy others, taste one and then you go back for the bunch. It's kind of like that today. But remember, IDS is there, and IDS now will be bridging that gap between those abroad and what they want to do in Jamaica and bring their hearts right back home. So you touch on it, and then we can go in details a little bit later. All right. And I noticed Ireland is in the house. People logged in from Ireland. I just saw my friend Stephen Clark come on. He's in Florida. So welcome one and all. We have a few questions, Natalie. Someone is asking, let me start from the top. Most questions for NHT. Can I borrow a loan from the NHT if I'm abroad? And do I need to be in Jamaica for the interview?
Don't mind Kamisha chiming in, and I do welcome her too. Yes, of course, you can borrow a loan from the National Housing Trust while you are overseas, and we facilitate that. As a matter of fact, though, I must say, because it is buying a house, it's not like buying bread. You know, it's a legal process. We do require that there's someone that represents you. So what you can do is consider having somebody do power of attorney for you. Just sign up somebody that you trust to sign up as your power of attorney, which is a simple matter. And Kamisha and I won't mind at all with sending you certain sample documents, because getting somebody to be your power of attorney and doing the necessary documentation for it, it's a simple process. You can have that done. Once you have a power of attorney, the person can represent you right here. And so that person will come in for the interview. That's where we're at this stage. And that's how I'd encourage persons to engage that kind of process. So yes, it is possible.
Excellent. There were a few questions that were asked, but you know, some were answered already in the chat. So I'll just skip over those. I paid my NHT up to 2012. Would I still be able to get a mortgage from that?
It counts, but as I had said, I repeat, because I know it's a lot of information. When you are going to to apply for a loan, we want to see that you are still contributing. So what I'd love for that person to do is to start contributing today. Just call me and we'll set it up. Because as I said, there are some things that information that I didn't give you. So I want to give you the fullness so that you can register right now. What the benefit of your previous contributions is that we have at least 1 year already for you. So when you do start today, then 1 year later, you're making your payments on time and making them in full, you're eligible. So you start today in June, next year, May, you're eligible, we can proceed with your purchasing a property.
Excellent. What if you were on no paid leave for a few months, hence no contribution during that period? Will it affect my eligibility to the NHT loan?
Yes, it definitely would, because when you are ready to access a benefit, you have to be contributing at least 3 months prior to application. And so you would have a break in your contributions, and so you'd have to resume. But for overseas voluntary contributors, you have to have 12 months paid on time, 12 consecutive months. So that break would set you back a little bit. You would have to start contributing. And after 12 months, then that person becomes eligible again.
Okay, thank you very much. Well, you know, the time is fast spent. There's one other question though. Can you use the app to pay your mortgage or just the contribution? Or is it just a contribution that you can pay with the app?
Yes, you can. You can make payments. As a voluntary contributor, you can make your payments, your contributions payments online. If you're not a voluntary contributor, then the payments would have to be made differently, and that is through the TAJ's tax office's portal. But aside from that, you can make your mortgage payments as well as your voluntary contributor payments on the NHT website and via the mobile app.
Excellent. Thank you so much from the NHT. I mean, I've had my personal positive experience with your team. And so, you know, we continue to do what we do, which is bringing the hearts back to Jamaica, the hearts that are abroad, but their navel strings still in Jamaica. All right. So thank you so much, Natalie, and the rest of your team for ably assisting us today. And just a quick public service announcement, very quick. We're giving away some gifts, you know, so don't come off, stay online. After the next presenter, we will tell you what the gifts are and how you can get them. But in the meantime, in between time, please remember to mute your microphones when you come on. Any question that you have, just please put it in the chat. We will address them, if not directly online today. Someone from IDS or the respective representatives will be in touch with you. At this point in time, things are getting serious. I wanted to send you on a 2-minute commercial break, but no, things are getting serious right now. Because back in the day, you know, people used to honor gentleman's agreement and shake hand and say, yes, all right, I have goat, you have cow, you give me a goat, I give you a cow. But over time, people have not been so honest, and things have to be put in place to protect everybody, every single person. And so today, we couldn't go through all that we've been through with acquiring the land, finding the place, ready to give them the money, for them to say, I never give it to them and all these things. It couldn't happen without this very key person who we're about to hear from next. And listen, I don't know about you, but they always tell you, if you want to have a successful business, you must have a good accountant and a good lawyer, and they must be very close and keep them very dear to you. Fast dial for them, all right? At this point in time, please help me welcome. She has been diligently waiting. She signed on very early, smiling the whole time. A very, very pleasant encounters, and some lion and stuff like that, you know, but a very pleasant encounter. The principal and legal consultant of MJLawGlobal. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome Tameka, the beautiful M. Jordan.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair Lady. I would like to thank you all for tuning in today and to join us as we present some of the key points on owning a home back in Jamaica. I'd like to thank IDS and JaDiF for putting on this webinar and for inviting us to present today. It is a pleasure being here and being offered the opportunity. So you started off by making a very key and relevant point, Madam Chair, which is that we need to ensure that when buying your home and your real estate back in Jamaica, you are not just doing a gentleman's shake of the hand, because that is not legal, that is not binding. And what I have seen from experience happen, many persons are left holding the black scandal bag where they have paid on for properties and they cannot get any title for it. So my purpose here today is to outline the legal stages from when you have identified the property and you're ready to purchase it until the keys and the letters of possession are given to you and you're ready to enter into your brand, whether it be an apartment, a townhouse, a standalone home, or even land. So I'm just going to wait until this slide has been put up and we can start. Now, you hit on a good point, Ms. Foster, when you indicated that you need your lawyer. And the process of buying a home in Jamaica is different from other jurisdictions. Unlike in the US, where also practice, we don't meet at a table for closing and exchange key. There's no broker that's involved. Purchasing a home in Jamaica is lawyer driven. And I'm not saying that because I'm a lawyer and I want to collect your money. I'm saying that because the system that exists in Jamaica, it's very robust. It's called the torrent system and it's different from other systems, land system in Jamaica. Why it is most robust? Because when you end up getting your title, it is one of the most difficult titles for anybody to challenge or to set aside. It's what we refer to as an indefeasible title. It means that once your name goes on it, unless you can prove fraud or any other circumstances, you are a true owner. We don't have multiple title system in Jamaica. We have one title system. And as a result, you purchase a home, you are supposed to be issued a title. Now, let us look at the preliminary stage, which I believe that Leighton and others touched on, which is identifying your home. Once the vendor places the property on the market for sale, sometimes they do it individually. In the rural areas, they tend to use word of mouth, advertisement in the Sunday paper. I'm sure some of you would have access to the Sunday Gleaner, would see properties being advertised. And what has been a new trend is that it has been advertised through realtors. I'm just going to crave a moment. I just want to bring up the screen and see. Forgive me, lawyers, sometimes we're not tech, you know. When I went to law school, we wrote our exams. Let me commence the slideshow. Yes, here we are. Thank you for your patience. So the preliminary stage, as I was, just to repeat, the vendor places the property on the market for sale. He uses his own efforts or he employs a realtor to assist him. Oftentimes, vendors do not value the place. However, it is recommended because you want to have an idea how you're going to price your property for sale. And oftentimes people come to me, Ms. J, but what about the price that you see on the tax receipt? The value that is given for the purpose of payment tax is just for the raw land, does not encompass the buildings. And so that is not oftentimes an accurate guidance. And to be honest, it is oftentimes lower than what the property is really valued. So persons may consider doing a valuation of the property before they put it up on the market for sale. Once the property is up on the market and the purchaser identifies it and likes it, then they may make an offer. If they're using a realtor, an offer sheet will be prepared and it will then contain all the particulars, your name, your address, your occupation, your TRN, which is required now for POCA purposes and also for FATCA purposes for those who live in the US. And that it will also include your vendor's attorney information and the purchaser's attorney information. Once that is prepared, the vendor then would instruct his or her attorney to prepare a draft agreement for sale. And why we say it is a draft agreement for sale, because You know, attorneys, they say we love to argue. We have to ensure that the terms that are inserted into the contract are favorable or at least comfortable to both parties. Because as Ms. Foster said, the word of mouth thing not going to work. And if, for instance, there is a dispute as to the sale of the property and it ends up into court, the court will only have consideration to what is written in the contract. So a good contract, a properly drafted contract is critical. Once the attorneys go back and forth as to settle as to the terms to be included in the contract, then now the contract is settled. At this stage, any attorney that is worth their money is to ensure that the purchaser does a check on the property. Just like you do background check on individuals, you need to do background check on the property. And this includes doing a survey for those who are taking a mortgage, doing valuation of a property, and also checking the title to ensure that the person who's selling you the land actually owns the land. And also to ensure that there are no liens or caveats or anybody else claiming to own the land. This is particular and very important, especially when we're buying what we call unregistered land. That is land that don't have no title and passed down through generations, and the only proof they have is receipts and letters and probably a will. Those land tend to be difficult. And if it is that you're purchasing by and being financed by a mortgage, you will have to get a title. Once the agreement is settled, it is sent then to the purchaser's attorney for the purchasers to sign it. The purchaser going to have it witnessed either by their attorney who represents them, a notary public, or my favorite, a Jamaica consulate officer. So you can go to any of the consulate office across the world, make an appointment and have one of the consulate officer witness your signature. Once you have signed it and you're sending it back to your attorney, you have to also send the purchase price, deposit, which is, as Leighton indicated, anywhere between 10 and 20%. It can be higher if you're buying a property from an estate, as well as a half cost preparation for the agreement for sale. And at the end of the presentation, I will outline the cost associated. The vendor also will have to sign this agreement and then return a finalized, signed and dated copy to the purchaser for the process of mortgage. Now, unlike other countries, you are only in a contract when it is signed by the purchaser and the vendor, and when the deposit is paid, as well as a half cost agreement for sale, not before. Persons think that the process starts from you identifying the land and you sign up with the realtor. No, the sale process legally begins once it is signed by, the document is signed by all the parties and the deposit is paid. Now, depending on whether you're buying cash or you're using the services of VMBS or National Housing Trust, how long the sale takes to close will be determined by what process you're financing. If you're buying the land cash, you can have your home within 30 to 45 days. However, if you're using a mortgage, because of the additional steps that Leighton outlined to you as a mortgage process, it will extend the process an additional 90 to 120 days to close. You will have to need to submit all the documents to your mortgage company. And normally your attorney does that for you because it sets out for the mortgage company certain deadlines to meet, such as when they need to turn over the money and give an undertaking to the vendor. So it's critical that you pay attention to that and you inform your attorney whether you're going to use financing or you're going to pay for the property cash. While this is being done, the vendor also is going to turn around and pay the taxes using the deposit. Now, taxes, you cannot do any form of transfer in Jamaica without paying the taxes. I don't believe it can be done anywhere in the world. But the taxes, which I will outline at the end of the presentation, are paid from the deposit. So the vendor pays it in advance for you, the purchaser, and then the purchaser reimburses at the end. Now, we spoke about certain terms in the contract, and one of the terms that we need to focus on is when the mortgage company is to issue the letter of undertaking or commitment. From my experience, this is where we need to sometimes be very vigilant to ensure that the deadline is met, because it is only when the vendor gets the LOU, as we call it loosely, or the LOC, that they will then proceed to prepare the transfer form to effect the transfer, to put the purchaser's name on the title. They are not obligated by law to do that before. So normally if you have a good attorney and we know, and we're familiar with the various mortgage company, we know whether or not we're going to insist that it is 50 days or 60 days from the signing of the contract to allow the purchaser time to give their mortgage company time to prepare the LOU and LOC. Once that is given and accepted, and I have to emphasize accepted because vendors' attorney are not obligated to accept every LOU or any LOC that is given to them. And so that is why it's critical when you are choosing your attorney to do your due diligence to make sure that the attorney does not have any, how should I put it, any situation that may render them being unable to give a proper LOC. Once the LOC is accepted, the vendor will then turn around and issue the transfer form for both the purchaser and the vendor to sign again. And these will be submitted to the mortgage company, or in the case where the property is being acquired cash, it will be submitted to the National Land Agency for processing. When it is submitted to the National Land Agency for processing, of course, you have to pay an additional set of fees, what we call registration fees. And this process has improved significantly in a sense that you can actually pay for expedited services now at the National Land Agency and have your title transferred in a day, but the average time is between 7 to 14 days. Once this transfer has been completed, then the vendor or the mortgage company will notify the purchaser that the transfer has been done and that they are now ready to be paid the balance of the money. And once the balance of the money has been paid, then the title and the keys will be turned over either to the purchaser if they're purchasing cash, or the title will be held by the mortgage company until the balance of the mortgage has been paid off. So this takes us now, what is the cost associated? Leighton touched on some of the cost from a mortgage company's perspective, but there are other costs that you need to know. For example, you need to know about your legal fees cost, because this is critical, as I mentioned before. Buying a property in Jamaica, the whole process is lawyer driven. All the documents that are necessary to effect the transfer is prepared by attorneys. From whether it is your personal attorney, which is the purchaser's attorney or the vendor's attorney, even the mortgage documents are prepared in-house by the mortgage company's attorney. So you have to have an idea as to how much you are going to have to come up with when you start this venture. Personally, I have asked my clients to ensure that they have their pre-approval letter, because it is a binding agreement. And oftentimes when you enter this agreement, you may not be able to come out of the agreement, or if you are able to come out of the agreement, there are going to be financial consequences, such as your deposit being forfeited. If you hire a good attorney, such as the one here at MJLawGlobal, we can oftentimes craft the agreement so that you do not forfeit your deposit. The purchasers generally pay anywhere between 2 to 5% of the purchase price for legal fees. The vendor will pay 3 to 5% of the purchase price for legal fees. Each person pays their own attorney. And it is critical, and I notice a practice in Jamaica where oftentimes, especially in the rural area, it has happened, I've seen it, where persons want to use one attorney because they figure that they will save cost. We are cautioned against that as attorneys. And I also caution you not to do it, because if a conflict arises, you're placing the attorney in a position as to who is he going to defend. Is he going to defend the purchaser, or is he going to defend the vendor? And oftentimes your interests cannot be represented. You can't have one attorney representing two different interests, because the interest of the vendor is separate from the interest of the purchaser. The vendor sometimes wants to get more money. The purchaser sometimes wants to get as fair as possible a price for the property. The agreement for sale, there's a cost associated, separate and apart from the legal fees that we spoke about. And this cost for preparation of the agreement for sale is to be paid directly to the vendor. Because oftentimes we enter into agreements and for whatever reason, they're not qualified for the mortgage, the sale has to be aborted. But the vendor's attorney would have already prepared that agreement for sale. Under the laws in Jamaica, they are to be paid separate for that preparation. Thankfully, that cost is shared equally between the vendor and the purchaser. And as I indicated initially in the presentation, when you are commencing the agreement or commencing the sale and you sign the agreement, you also have to pay this half cost along with the deposit. Stamp duty. Very pleased that stamp duty has now been reduced significantly and it is now fixed at $5,000. Thank you, Minister Clark. And this also shared between the vendor and the purchaser. So back in the days before this amendment in 2019, you were paying 2% of the purchase price. The government thought it fit to reduce it and we welcome it. And it is now $5,000, each party paying 2,500 Jamaican dollars. Let us talk about the registration fee. You are not the owner of the home until your name is placed on the title. And your name is placed at the title at the National Land Agency and they charge a fee for this. Again, this fee is shared equally between the vendor and the purchaser. The vendor pays 0.25%, the purchaser pays 0.25%. And this is a cost, as I indicated before, that the vendor would have upfront out of deposit, and then you, the purchaser, will refund the vendor before closing. Oftentimes, depending on how much you qualify for a mortgage, this cost is wrapped up into your mortgage processing and your mortgage approval amount, and it is paid over directly to the vendor's attorney. If that is not the case, you would have to pay into your purchaser's attorney account before it is closed so that they could turn over this amount of money, because they're not going to transfer the property into your name until they're satisfied that all the fees are being paid. Transfer tax, like stamp duty, has been reduced significantly, and instead of being 5%, it is now 2% of the value of the purchase price. And this again was reduced by Minister Clark in 2019. This, however, is paid solely by the vendor. There's a saying that I always say to my clients: when you're buying a house, the purchaser have to find more money, an additional 20% over what the house value, and the vendor will get less. This is one of the deductions from the purchase price, which the vendor will not be able to recuperate, and that is called the vendor's transfer tax. Leighton spoke about certain costs, which I would like to highlight, which is the surveyor and evaluation fees. When you're purchasing a property in Jamaica, you cannot be qualified for a mortgage until you produce a surveyor's report and a valuation fee. Now, many persons don't see the value of it, but it is critical. A surveyor's report is going to identify any breaches on the property. And we know in Jamaica, we love to build on carport, build on veranda, build on many things. And oftentimes it's not built in accordance with the code. And so depending on how bad the breach is, which would have been identified in the surveyor's report, you will decide whether or not you can able to purchase this property, because depending on the breach, you may not be able to be qualified for the mortgage. And your attorney may advise you that they don't think it is wise, given the nature of the breach, that you proceed with it. We also want to do a surveyor's report and also like to check the title, because oftentimes persons are buying, for example, agricultural land and they want to build up a plaza on it. You can't do that by law. So these are the importance of why it is you need to do a surveyor's report, so all of these things can be identified. You also need to do a valuation report, because if you're taking a mortgage, for example, the mortgage company is only going to lend you a percentage of the purchase price or the mortgage price, whichever is lower. If you don't know how much it is valued, you won't have an idea as to how much you are able to come up with in case there's a shortfall, because sometimes the property may be sold for $10 million, for example, it's only valued $8 million. You are going to have to come up with that $2 million if it is that you decide to continue with the sale. Now, a good attorney, if that happens, will know how to renegotiate the contract and make it subject, for example, to mortgage approval. That is why it is critical, because there are legal consequences, that you hire a good attorney who's experienced in sales to know what clauses to be included to protect your interests. Lastly, and most importantly, we have the realtor's fee. Now, it's not like in the US here or other jurisdictions where whoever finds the realtor pays for the realtor's fee. In Jamaica, traditionally, the realtor fee is paid by the vendor because it is the vendor's property and the realtor is assisting the vendor in purchasing, in finding a purchaser. Oftentimes, this is included in the contract to ensure that the realtor is paid. And that is also a cost that the vendor has to take into account when he's doing his accounting as to how much money you would have to pay out. In addition to the taxes, he would also have to pay his realtors. So just to sum up, when buying a property in Jamaica, it is very, very critical that you hire a good attorney, because not every attorney is experienced in doing sale. And what I have found in my years of experience, that if a sale is not handled properly from the get-go, it will have legal consequences. I have had matters where persons have purchased land in Jamaica from overseas. They have met with the vendor, they shake hand, they sit down on their tree and they write a piece of paper, and all the money is paid over. And at the end of the day, either the vendor did not have the authority to sell the property, he has not honored his gentleman's shake, or the property for which the purchaser bought does not exist. I've had cases where they have paid for land that are owned by other persons. And so what I say to my clients is that it is better you get your attorney from the get-go, because it is going to actually be cheaper. Because when you bring an attorney in at the back end to fix the problem, now you're looking at triple and double the legal fees. Now you're looking, if it cannot be resolved amicable, you have to go to court. And that court system can take 5 to 6 years. Buying a property is a great investment. It is an expensive venture. And therefore, what we highly recommend is that you secure that investment by getting an attorney to guide the process. I have seen throughout my years, I've been involved in many litigation on behalf of clients in land matters, and 90 out of 100% of the time when we're involved in those litigation is because the persons would not have had an attorney to assist them during the process. And so your risk, so as to minimize your risk, especially when you're overseas, you're not familiar with, or you have been out of the system for quite a while, so you're not so au fait with the real estate landscape and the process, hire an attorney to do the groundwork, the footwork, and to do the due diligence on your behalf. We here at MJLawGlobal, we are part of a subsidiary. I'm a partner at McDonald Jordan Company, which has been around for several years. Combined with my partner, we have over 40 years experience. MJLawGlobal is a firm that we have launched in the United States, specifically to service the Jamaican diaspora living overseas in many of their legal matters. And so our slogan is, your Jamaican matters simplified. Let us help you simplify your legal matters so that you can rest assured that when you get your indefeasible title, nobody can run you off the land, and you're not going to have no headache with anybody in relation to whether or not the land that you bought. What I have found, especially in the purchase of land, is that it becomes very, very complicated when there is no title for the land. I encourage people that when you are purchasing land, that you insist that they give you a title. And if they don't have a title, insist that one is had. because especially if you're going to take a mortgage, mortgage companies are not going to lend you any money to buy unregistered land, because everybody is preparing, or everybody's aiming towards minimizing their risk. And therefore, it is very risky when you buy a land that there's no title, because any and anybody can claim it. And in Jamaica, we do have an adverse possession problem. And by adverse possession, I mean people sit on your land for 12 years and thief it. I'm not saying that with a title, it will make it impossible for that to happen, but it certainly makes it far more challenging and it secures you. So insist that when you are seeking your properties to purchase in Jamaica, that you have land and the land is registered. Whether it's an apartment, a title can be issued for anything: land, farmland, commercial land, apartments, townhouses, standalone. From it is real estate, the National Land Agency will issue a title. And if you don't have a title for it, a trained and experienced attorney can assist you in getting that title. So if it pleases you, that is my presentation. I don't know if there are any questions. I'm not able to see the screen anymore. To the wonderful Madam Chair Lady.
Oh my, thank you so much, Tameka. That was so well handled. And you know what? There's just really one question, you know. Persons are commenting, thank you, Tameka, great information, great presentation, because so many of us find ourselves in situations where, and I believe familiarity is sometimes what causes the problem. We believe we know the person, or so granddaughter, man, so you let your guards down, and then when there's a challenge, you say, if me did know. And so we want to prevent the if me did know situations today. And so we thank you so much for presenting. There's only one question. What if, I don't know, but anyway, what if the person dies in the process?
Okay, if the person dies in the process, depending again on the terms of the agreement for sale, everything comes back to the agreement for sale. An experienced will anticipate that. And so, for instance, when I'm drafting my contracts, I ensure that if I'm acting for the vendor, I ensure that he has a will. In the event that he dies, estate can complete the sale. And I specifically will have that stated in the will, and I will have that in the event of a death, because under the general law, death ends a contract. However, if you specifically place it in the contract that death will not make this contract end or void, then the sale can proceed. It may be lengthened a bit in the sense that now you're dealing with the estate, but that's why, even though we're not presenting on wills, we're presenting on property. That is why it is key that persons prepare their wills. Because when you die intestate, the process is 1-2 years. If you have a will, the executor can immediately take over and complete it under the different principles of law. So yes, yes and no. If the contract allows for you to continue the sale on death, the sale may continue. If not, the contract ends, and unfortunately, depending on the terms, you may or may not get back your deposit.
Well, somebody just put in the chat, when purchasing a property in Jamaica, hire an attorney, argument done. And I believe that just done the argument right there, right? That's critical. Yes, it is. And I know, I mean, we thank you so much, Tameka and your firm for spending the time with us today to educate us and to ensure that things are done properly, not just for us, but for future generations. Because I've seen so many situations where, you know, parents would probably pass on and then the children have such a hard time. And because we're focused too on generational wealth, it is very, very important that you were here with us today. Right? I know I have a little giveaway from you, so I believe it is fitting that I mention at this time that if anyone online today, and it's just for you, don't tell nobody else, if you subscribe today with IDS, if you sign up today with the Jamaican Diaspora en France, the two together, even if you sign up already, sign up again, subscribe again, do something, then MJLawGlobal, they were so generous. They're giving away 30 minutes of free consultation towards your purchase of your property in Jamaica. There is a passcode though. If you don't call with this passcode, when you call the firm, you will not get the prize. And the code is LEGAL, L-E-G-A-L. So we're giving away 30 minutes free consultation for anybody who subscribes today to the Integrated Diaspora Services, or if you sign up with the Jamaican Diaspora of France, or if you use the code LEGAL when you do a process in terms of starting the process to purchase property in Jamaica. We are rolling. Tameka, once again, thank you so much. You know, you use language that we were able to relate to. You didn't come with the jargons that had us feeling dizzy like we needed a Nutribullah. You know, so thank you so much for the able way in which you handle it today. And at this point, we're rolling on. And, you know, so you've gone through. Okay, so you've gone through the steps, and I'm going to ask everyone just to mute. You've gone through the steps. You've seen the land. You've gotten the lawyer. You've gotten the banker. You know, your NHT give a part of the money. You're moving along, and now you've purchased the place. Winter time, books. You're in Jamaica, but then you go back home, and you're like, Lord Jesus. I wonder if nobody go pick the 2 mango them on a backer. I wonder if the umbrella will me turn under them, take it up, and you start to worry. But guess what? No need to worry. Not anymore, at least. Thanks to technology, and thanks very much to the 2 persons who you will hear from in the next minute, because they are going to delve into the details of security for surety. Yes, even if you're overseas and your property is in Jamaica, we have 2 representatives from Guardsman Limited. One is the marketing manager of Guardsman, and that's Roxan Wais-Shirley. And we have Renee Menzies-McCallum, who is the managing director of IProtect Solutions Limited and Guardsman. And they are going to talk to you about security. So ladies and gentlemen, and they have a giveaway too, you know, they will tell you about it, but ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, open your hearts, open your ears, and make way for Roxan Wais-Shirley and Renee Menzies-McCallum.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. And thank you for that warm welcome, Renee. Appreciate it. Okay, so today we are going to talk about how the members of the diaspora can protect your property wherever you are in the world. Now, the Guardsman has launched a new company called IProtect. And so IProtect is what allows you to, it's a smart home, smart security system that actually allows you to protect and even control your home. So on the image that we're going to see come up on the screen now, we see on the left side what we know as being a typical burglar alarm system. It's all wired up, and you use that keypad to arm and disarm your house. Now, over on the right side, we see something much different. And this is really what IProtect represents. It allows you to use your smartphone using an app to arm and disarm, to see your cameras, to turn off your lights, lock, unlock your doors. The possibilities are really endless. And this is what Guardsman now has offered to the market, allowing persons like members of the diaspora who's not in Jamaica to properly secure their homes, even lower their electric bill by controlling home appliances. This is what Guardsman now has redefined security to be with IProtect. So I'm going to hand over to Renee, and she's going to take a much deeper dive into what IProtect really is and how it can help everyone.
Thank you, Roxanne. I think I was muted before. Hi, Renee. Good to see another Renee. Okay, so how is this system different from a regular wired electronic alarm system? It is not the same as, say, what a Guardsman Alarms, a King Alarm, or Hawkeye is offering, because this adds smart to the equation. There are four main differences with this system. It's not just an electronic security system, although it is that. It is a smart home system. So it allows automation, as Roxan mentioned, in controlling lights, in controlling appliances, in controlling locks. It allows you to view your cameras from your phone. It allows you to answer your doorbell from your phone and see whoever is at your gate remotely. It will even capture someone passing your gate too closely or reaching in by the sensor, so you know someone is at your gate. And it gives you visibility of what is happening when you're not there. So at any point in time, you can look in and see what's happening. The second thing that makes it very different is the remote capability. And I'm going to walk you through the app for 5 minutes at the end of the presentation so you can get a very good visual of how it works. But normally you guys would know this, the normal thing is for a response center to be monitoring. And if your alarm goes off and you're not there, you're going to get a call. And that's what's telling you that you have a problem. You don't know before you get that call. And then you have to wait for a response team to go and look and see what's happening. And they come back and call you and tell you what's the problem, right? This doesn't do that. This alerts you at the exact same time that it alerts the central station. So you know your alarm is going off. You're looking at it and you can see what sensor is going off. Is it living room? Is it the kitchen? Is it that back bedroom where we know that there is some amount of dark spot and therefore it might be serious? And if you have cameras pointing at it, you can immediately look at the cameras and see what's happening at your location, even while the response team is on its way there. So this gives you a certain amount of visibility you just can't have without it. And of course, it can see your phone. So if you leave without arming, when you get a certain distance away and the Bluetooth disconnects, it is going to remind you to arm your system. And you can arm it from wherever you are. There's no need to turn back and go and arm the system. Once you want, you can arm it and disarm it from anywhere. You can be in Paris and arm and disarm your home in Jamaica. Okay, it's wireless. So it's very easy to install. And I think you guys would know that normally with a regular alarm system, all those wires, when you're moving, you just leave it. There's just absolutely no point in tearing out all of this equipment. With this, you can pick it up and move with it. It's very simple. It's very easy to install. And you can just take it with you when you move to another location and save your money with no installation costs if you really want. If you're a little bit of a techie, you can say, oh yes, for sure, I want to install it. If you think that you're not a techie, think of all those times that you have a camera in front of you like this one, and you can hold up a QR code and wave it in front, and bam, you've added a sensor. It's really that simple. You don't have to be a techie. And then finally, what we've tried to do is to bring the services of an alarm company to a larger section of Jamaica. Normally, you would have had to purchase $200,000-300,000 worth of equipment to wire your house up front. This allows you to lease to own. You can, instead of having to find $200,000-300,000, start with a payment as low as $6,000 a month, and for 3 years, and you are immediately secured. So it gives you that amount of capability. And the last thing is, it allows you to do camera kits, and you don't have to have a burglary system to do the cameras if you would prefer. So you don't have to buy one to get the other. Just so you can look at the screen and see, you'll see what looks like a little tablet. That is the control panel. So that thing that used to be in a cupboard that had a big battery and had a siren in it and all kinds of drama, it's all contained in this little tablet looking thing. It has a siren, it has an 8-hour backup battery in it. It has a cell phone communicator, a SIM card. So it is sending your alarm signal by cell phone. It has Wi-Fi capabilities, so it can speak to your cameras. It has Bluetooth capabilities, so it can speak to your phone. It has Power G capability. I say this thing speaks 6 languages, right? It has Power G capability so that it is able to communicate with alarm technician codes. And it has Z-Wave Plus, which allows you to communicate with home automation devices. So it will integrate with Alexa, Siri, Google HomePod, any of those devices if you have it. Even just with your iPhone, you can use voice control with Siri, but you don't have to have those to make it work. And it's backed by Guardsman's monitored central command center and our response. Keep in mind, guys, Guardsman's been around for over 40 years. So this is something we know. This is our strong suit. So the kits are different and varied, but truly you can customize it to do anything you want. So it depends on what monthly payment you want. So if you start with a basic system, the basic system can do like a nice little 1-bedroom apartment. It has a front door sensor, a back door sensor, a 1 window sensor, plus a motion that you can point at like your balconies in case somebody's trying to come through your balcony door, your control panel, and you're good to go. And with this system, in something like a 1-bedroom apartment, you don't need to actually pay for monitoring and response if you don't want to, because you are self-monitoring because you have the app. So you know when something is happening. So if you have a guard in the complex and you don't want to have a response team coming, you're good. You can send a guard to go and look because you now have your little system. The second system we have here is our SOHO, which is our small office, home office. This one assumes a slightly larger space, so it has 5 door and window sensors, 2 motion sensors, and an interior camera. And that interior camera can be pointed at the cashier, it can be pointed at the door to see who's entering, it can be pointed at the wider office so you can see what's happening in there. So it's a nice little self-contained kit, and that one goes for about $9,000 a month. So you have $6,000 for the basic, $9,000 for SOHO. Keep in mind, you can add on with any of these kits. And then the enhanced assumes a slightly larger building, which has 4 motion sensors, 8 door and window sensors, 2 indoor cameras, and an outdoor camera. And it also comes with 3 home automation devices in the monthly price, and that is priced as low as $12,000 per month. And so for $12,000 per month, you have a significant kit that you can set up in your home. You can add to it a plug or a smart light or whatever it is that you want in this $12,000, and you can move on from there and be secured immediately and monitoring it from anywhere. So if you have an investment home in Jamaica, you can monitor your home from overseas. If you have it using as an Airbnb, you can monitor it from overseas. If in fact you want to be able to unlock the door when someone comes to use it, you can do that. You don't actually have to hand someone a key, okay? And then finally, we have what we call our conversion kit. And that conversion kit allows you, if you already have a system and you just want it to be smart and wireless moving forward, we can simply do a hardwire conversion for you with this little kit and a panel. And it assumes that all of your house is already protected, so you don't need any other sensors. And we just do the hardwire, and then you can add any automation devices that you may want. Okay, so what is important about the system is that it has military grade encryption to prevent hacking. We don't connect with other cameras. And the reason is simply is because it is a security system. And if we were to say connect to a Ring or a Blink camera or those kinds of things, and someone was to infiltrate those cameras, they would now be into your security system. And so we can't connect to anything that isn't at the same level as ours. So we connect only with alarm.com cameras. But what the beauty of the system, by the way, is that if the alarm goes off, your cameras are recording. And so you can immediately look and see what happened just before. So, you know, the alarm went off. You're not going to be looking at it later and saying, oh, I don't know what happened. It's a game changer because, of course, it has security and automation. You can have a completely digital experience. You can literally purchase it online, add the delivery, do it yourself, install and pay monthly online and have no problem. You never have to see a technician if you don't want to. If you want, we have fully trained technicians who can come and install it for you. The camera kits don't require the burglar platform, which I mentioned before. And of course, as I mentioned, you have no need to start from scratch. If you have a system, we can just convert you. And of course, Guardsman's 40 years of experience in security backing the system. I'm going to hand back over to Roxan and let her take you through the brand. Rox?
Hi. Okay, so we always say security right in your hands when we're describing IProtect, because as I will show you as we go along the presentation, literally everything can be done just using your smartphone. So with IProtect, you can arm and disarm remotely. You can see your cameras remotely. You will get instant alerts right on your phone telling you exactly what is happening in Jamaica. You can control your lights, locks, appliances, all those cool things. And we're going to delve a little bit deeper in that later in the presentation. And then the best thing is that you can also get 24-hour armed response from IProtect, which is backed by the Guardsman group. Now, let's talk about remotely arming and disarming your home or your property. Now, when you're overseas, you want to ensure that your doors and windows are protected, okay? So you want to ensure that when you're not there, your property is armed. You want to ensure, though, that if it is tampered with, you get an alert too. With IProtect, if your sensor is tampered with, it will say, triggered at your kitchen door, or your master bedroom window was tampered with. So you know exactly, not only that something went wrong, but you know exactly where as well. And you can get that response from our armed response team once an alert goes off. You can also see your cameras remotely, right? So I know Renee mentioned the mango tree. Yes, so if you want to see if anybody is taking off your mangoes off your mango tree, that can be done as well. In fact, you can even name that camera mango tree camera. And if it detects motion, it will send a short video clip to your phone with exactly who is picking your mangoes. But more realistically, cameras can be put up at the perimeter of your property. Cameras can even be put up in the interior of your property so that you can see exactly what is happening and know exactly where and when it happened. And as I mentioned before, instant alerts. That's all about IProtect. Everything comes at you like right now. And with IProtect, we're going beyond the alarm. This is not just security. With IProtect, we can go to the next slide. With IProtect, you can also control home attributes, meaning you can control your lights. Now, if you're anything like me, when I'm not at home for a period of time, I will leave my lights on running because in the night, I want people to think that somebody's there. So I want my lights on. With IProtect, you don't have to waste your light bill, right? You can actually say, okay, it's about dark now at 7 o'clock in Jamaica. I'm going to turn on my lights now. Morning time, I can just flip them on. In fact, people will then definitely think that that somebody is there, right? And so it really allows you to not only secure your home and have that perceived presence, but it also allows you to save on your electric bill as well. Even locks, you can control your door locks. So if you have your property locked up and a family member needs to get in, maybe a technician, a workman, you're doing some work on the house, you can be the one to unlock and lock your doors without giving your key to anyone at all. Stay connected, right? Now, not only lights, locks, and home appliances, but let's think about floods. IProtect also allows you to have sensors in your house that can tell you, we have detected a flood, we have detected fire. These are real life things that people have to know. And if you don't know immediately, that's when disaster strikes. IProtect has a wide array of fire detectors, flood sensors, sensors that can pretty much detect anything that is going to cause your home or your property any damage at all. And our 24-hour armed response team. We have response island-wide, backed by the Guardsman group, as I mentioned before. So pretty much wherever you are, we can respond to whatever emergency that you're having. So that same trigger that you will get on your phone actually goes to our central command center that will tell us that there was a trigger and it will tell us where, and we will respond to you with our armed response team. Now, on the screen here, we see a gate sign and a door sticker that says protected by IProtect. Now, when everyone sees the other gate signs, like from the other security companies, what that really means is that if a sensor is triggered, it will go to a response team that will come. Do they know what happened? Do they know if it was just a dog that went by and set off the alarm, or a tree branch, or a real criminal? No, they don't know. Now, IProtect, when you see that sign that says protected by IProtect, what that means is that if you're reading that sign and looking at it, someone, the owner of that house, could be looking right back at you and seeing you right now, because IProtect allows you to have that sort of control. You know, you're there, but you're not there, right? So this is what IProtect means, that this person who owns this property can be looking at you right now, looking at their property. And I also just wanted to mention that this is perfect for small businesses as well, for those who have that interest, because you can arm, disarm, and you have that flexibility. You can see what's happening at your business place. You can see how many customers you have. You can be in your, you can have a camera by the cash register, so you can see all that is happening anywhere at all that you are in this world. And so I am going to hand back over to Renee, and I want to tell you guys, pay special attention to this, because she is going to walk you through some really cool devices, but not only that, but she's going to actually show you how the app works. So she's gonna kind of let you into her home and show how she controls her system remotely, because she's not at home right now, right? How she controls her system from wherever she is in this world.
Thanks, Roxanne. So I'm going to quickly run you guys through the equipment that's available. Keep in mind that you can purchase any of the equipment in any configuration that you need for your particular needs. You don't have to be stuck with anything set in stone. And yes, you can purchase it outright, or you can do rental. Same thing with the cameras. You can do that lease to own model, or you can purchase the cameras outright. There's just that monthly maintenance cost for the software, because you're logging into alarm.com. So there is that monthly maintenance cost for the software. So to quickly take you through some of our add-on devices, the smoke detector, and the smoke detector will tell you what temperature it is. So if the temperature starts to go up, the heat detector in it will warn you that the temperature is rising before it goes off for a smoke. The extra siren, if you have like a 3-story house, and so you feel like the siren that's in the panel might be on the 3rd floor and the basement might not be able to hear, again, a wireless siren. We have extra motion sensors in case you have several large areas that require carpeting. The shock sensors are used for the grills. So if you prefer not to arm the window itself because you want to arm with the window open, but you want to know if somebody starts tampering with your grill, we can put the shock sensor on your grill. The door and window sensors for any door that you want to monitor. It can even be an internal door. If you want to know what time of day the door opened and closed, you can put it on there. The panic button. Now, I would keep a panic button in the kitchen, per se, somewhere that the helper can reach for it if needed. But quite frankly, the system comes with a panic button on it, so you can utilize it directly on your phone. A glass break detector in case you have large glass sliding doors. That we pointed at that. So if somebody tries to break it, we're going to absolutely get a signal. We also usually point a motion sensor at those sliding doors, because if someone tries to break it, they're usually on the balcony in advance, and that motion will be able to trigger before they actually come through the door. We also have these cameras, and I want to take a little bit of a dive into the cameras, the outdoor, the indoor camera, and the Wi-Fi doorbell. So these cameras have superior video analytics, and I'm trying to go through it quickly because I know I'm almost out of time and I want to leave a little bit of time for questions. If you look at the camera, you'll see that there is an ability right here. Like say, I want to know if something is happening here. I can literally tell the camera that that's where I'm interested in. I'm not interested in this. I'm not interested in here. I don't want to know what's happening here. And the camera will only trigger an alert to me if something is exactly in that spot that I have mentioned. And I can set that up for a specific time of day. I can set up for specific days of the week and that sort of thing. The internal cameras, you can see what's happening inside. I would suggest we don't put those in bedrooms or bathrooms, but it's a good way to communicate. And the internal cameras allow you to speak to the person in the room. You can literally hold down the microphone on the internal camera and speak to the person that's there. This is my favorite part because I have this set up at my house where you can actually map out an area and say, if it's in this area and it is a person, so send me an alert and turn on the lights, and the camera will do exactly that. And I will show you how that works on my phone in real life. And of course, the Wi-Fi doorbell that we mentioned, when we install it at a client's location, the next day, someone was reaching over his gate trying to unlock it and he got it on camera. And we would never have known that this guy was trying a thing if we hadn't had that camera there. These are the home automation features that are available. So the dimmer plug and the appliance plug, both of those plugs can be used for lighting, but the appliance plug is really for things like the coffee maker, the iron, the kettle, the things that you may want to control. So if you want to say, hey Siri, good morning, and Siri, turn on your coffee maker or turn on your iron while you're still upstairs or whatever it is, you can actually set it up to do things like that. The smart bulb, if you want to put it over the garage, so if you're coming in late and you need to turn on the light because before you left home, you didn't plan for it to be dark when you got back, you can do that before you get in. The garage door opener, in case you guys have, I know Diaspora personnel, generally speaking, like those big garage door openers that are in the US and UK. So we have something that you can control that and open and close it remotely. Also the smart lock, and as Roxan mentioned, the flood sensor for low-lying areas in your house that might tend to flood, or simply for under the sink in case you have a leak. Other things that we have are this remote AC access so that you can actually turn off the AC while you're not there or turn it on. It also has a temperature sensor in it, so you'll know the temperature. A water leak monitor so that you can put that on the inside of your water meter, and it will tell us if you have a leak, because once you arm your alarm, it's assuming that no water should be running. So it will monitor and tell you. And also an energy monitor. So if you want to save money or see exactly where your money is going, is it the AC? Is it the dryer? Is it the air fryer? I use my air fryer a lot. I'm pretty sure that's where my light bill is going up. That sort of thing. So I want to quickly just show you guys what the system looks like, but just in real time. You have a problem, you have an alert, and you have a response. And of course, the system comes with a 1-year warranty. And so I'm going to, before Roxanne does her wrap up, I'm just going to I'm going to unshare, and I'm going to try and share. How do I stop sharing on this now? It's not allowing me. Pause, share, stop, share. There we go. I'm going to use my phone and show you guys the software very, very quickly. I'll literally take a couple of minutes. So share screen. Where is share screen? There we go. Only a host can share the meeting. Host, can you share it with my phone? It should be IP11. Okay, I may put Roxanne back up while we wait for me to get that ability so that she can. Roxanne, do you want to do the rest while I wait to see if I can share?
Sure, no problem. Okay, so I want to mention that we usually market IProtect as a DIY product, but I don't want it to be confused. We have technicians across the island that can very conveniently install IProtect for you. So if you're overseas and you want this done, without having to do anything, we're right there. So before Renee goes on, I was going to save this for last, but I will say it now.
Actually, share now. So if you want, you can do that.
Oh, okay. So I can save the good part for
last. Yes, I'll do it
quickly.
Okay. All right. So share screen, start broadcast. You should be seeing my screen now, my phone screen, and I'm going into my app. No, I'm not on Wi-Fi, I'm on data, so it takes a little bit of time. Okay, so here we are. This is my home, and I can flip between my home and the IProtect office. And I can arm or disarm any system doing that. And it's as simple as pressing this and hitting arm stay or arm away. Now, people are in my house right now, so if I hit arm away, I'm going to trip a big alarm. But I can arm stay right here. And what it's going to tell me is everything that's open, because it's going to override anything that's open. So it's arm stay, and it's telling me my living room is open. The whole house was arm stay. The stair door is open. Kira's room is open. The kitchen window and door is open. But I can override anything I want. If I want to close them before I go, and it's going to tell me now that it has stopped bypassing them. If I want to close anything before I arm, it's warning me down here what I need to do. The in-app panic that I mentioned is right there. We kind of bury it a little because we don't want anyone to accidentally hit it. But if you hit silent, the response team is going to the house and that we won't call. If you hit medical, fire, or police, we are going to send a team, but we are going to call. I think I had, well, there's a cost attached to those services, so that's why. I think I'd mentioned that you can easily see anything that happens during the course of the day on anywhere that has a sensor. And so this is not something you'll probably use every day, but it's something that's quite handy when you are trying to find out if a door was open or someone came in or someone went out, etc., etc. Again, I'm on data. And so it takes a little second when I'm on data. I should go on the Wi-Fi. I turned off my Wi-Fi earlier. And that might be a problem with my camera. So this is my camera. Yeah, I need to go on the Wi-Fi. Because I'm using data, so data takes a little bit of time. Please forgive me. Oh, I'm on the Wi-Fi. The Wi-Fi isn't up. There it is now. Let's see if we can get in better now. Now I can see Wi-Fi happening. There we go. So this is the area in front of my home. And you can see the patio that I use for entertaining right here. Now, I don't care if anything is happening here because my dogs sleep here at night, but I do care if something is happening anywhere on this space going out to my gate. And you can see how far I can zoom and see what's happening out there. I also want to be able to turn this light on. So I've set up my system so that I can do that. So let's say just turning this light on. I can do it from the app. So if I'm coming in late in the evening and I want to be able to turn on the lights before I get home, I can do this and have it on by the time I come in. I can also set up the light so that the light comes on automatically at sunset. I'm sorry, I'm using the Wi-Fi and it seems to be challenging. So that the light comes on automatically at sunset. As you can see, the light is on and then I can turn it off. So that's off and that's on. I want you guys to know that it is a lot faster than it looks like because I'm using the Wi-Fi and it's choppy right now. I can also turn on and off the AC and it'll tell me what temperature the room is and what temperature I want it to go down to. And I can set that up on a schedule as well if I prefer. But what I want to show you is how the video analytics really works with the cameras. So if I go here and I go to recording rules, one of the first recording rules that is in all of the systems is that if the alarm is reported, it's to record at all times. But then I set up a different rule for myself. And this one is because I want specific things. And you can do this with any of the cameras. So it's an outdoor camera and I have the rule active and you see this green box. I can move this green box anywhere. I can make it any shape. I can decide where I want it. And if I wanted it down here, it would trigger for animals. But if I want it up here, it's going to trigger for someone coming through the gate. And that gives me Monday to Sunday, 11 p.m. to 5 a.m., as you can see, unless the panel is disarmed. So as far as I'm concerned, if it's before 11 or after 5 a.m., it's probably us. And if the panel is disarmed, it's definitely us. And I only want to know if it's a person, a vehicle, or a drone, because I don't need to know if it's a pet because I have pets. And I ask it to turn on the entertainment center light for the same periods for a minute. So I use that to go back to say to you, this is what my camera has saved based on that. You can see where it has seen it as an animal and the animal is in the area where I am highlighting. So if I play any one of these clips, and I hope the Wi-Fi doesn't give me trouble while I'm demoing, you know, if it can go wrong, it will. it alerts me that it's an animal, but it doesn't send me the notification and it doesn't turn on the light because it's an animal. And I've told it that I don't care if it's an animal. But if I do the vehicle, this is the video, you'll see that my dogs ran past my car. So the movement triggered the camera and the camera saw a car, so it turned on the light. And it'll tell you each time what it saw. It'll mark it. So this one says vehicle, that one says animal. This one has nothing marked because it was my alarm schedule. I had decided to go outside because one of my dogs was giving trouble and I forgot to turn off the alarm. And so it recorded on schedule simply because I did that. And of course, it's going to give me trouble. In any case, I think you all have gotten the gist. This is, yes, you can see me coming outside and going to look. And so it triggered because of the alarm. No, I didn't tell it to turn on the light in an alarm, so it did not. So I think I've given you a quick overview. You can set up sleep scenes. So mine says, if I say to Siri, hey Siri, I'm going to bed, it'll arm the security system, it'll turn off the light and it will turn on the AC. And if I say, hey Siri, I'm awake, it'll turn on, disarm the alarm and turn off the AC and things like that. It's a very handy little system, guys. I know I've probably gone over, so I'm going to stop now. And I hope if there's a second for us to take questions, that you can allow us. I'm not sure. I may have gone too far.
Absolutely, absolutely, Renee. This is so interesting. The comments were coming in. The comments were coming in at the same time in the chat. Persons are intrigued. I am intrigued. I have a security system at home and I really feel stupid right now. Like, I just feel like I don't have no system at all right now. You know, very interesting. One of the questions that persons had was, what's the average response time to an alarm?
It depends on where you are, but if it's in an urban area, we try to be there in under 10 minutes.
Under 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay. And there were some other questions, but they were being answered in the chat as we proceeded. You know, they were asking about the ability for the system to detect a flood or a fire, and we realized that you already demonstrated that the system can accommodate that. And I have a personal question because you mentioned about being able to automate a system that you might currently have.
Yeah.
A system once all the sensors and they are in place. Okay, yes, so persons are asking, and other persons might be asking too, what would be the average cost like to do such a conversion?
In $6,000 per month if you want. Or if you prefer, you can purchase the conversion system. I believe it's in the range of about $60,000 to purchase it, and then you pay the $3,000 a month app fee. So you can choose. So you realize half of the monthly cost is really app fee, as you can see.
Okay, excellent. This is critical because I believe all of us, irrespective of where we might be in the world, security is always a concern. We want to know what's going on. We want to see we want to be able to respond, and it's no longer a case where you're in the UK and nobody's at the house, right? And then you have to wait until the fire brigade comes, and then for somebody to contact you, the building could have probably been flat by then. So this is groundbreaking. I don't know what to say to you. I didn't even know that this existed in Jamaica, and I lived in Jamaica, so I might as well just move to France and learn this fresh right now. But that was amazing.
I want to throw in that all costs are Jamaican dollars because I see someone was
please, very critical.
Jamaican dollars. We don't talk big money.
So hold on. So question, Renee. So in the invoicing, when you send the bill, it's billed in Jamaican dollars.
Yes. If you use an overseas card to pay, it will just do the conversion. And we can send it in US. So if your bill is say 6,000 Jamaican, we can send it out in the US at that time and you just pay it.
But your base billing is in Jamaican dollars.
Everything is Jamaican dollars.
Because you're in Jamaica, right? I'm just saying.
Yes.
Okay.
Exactly. We don't assume.
earn US dollars. Next question from someone. How long do the recordings last? In other words, can it be used as evidence in court?
Yes, if you the recordings, you get like 3,000 in a month if you have just the 1 to 4 cameras, right? And as you can see, I've only uploaded like 10 in the last month because that's what I've been telling it to monitor. Now, if it uploads something, it's there until the next month. But if you want to keep something, if you know something has happened, you can either save it to your phone or mark it saved in the cloud, and you're fine. If you want to monitor continuously, you can put a SD card in the camera and you will be able to monitor 24/7 from your phone if you really wanted to. So it's continuously recording to your card and you can just look up in your phone what's happening. But you don't want to continuously record to the cloud because that'll become expensive.
Wow.
Cloud storage, which is free
Right.
to the 3,000.
Space. Right.
Okay.
And cloud out free. Anyway, the next question, can you buy the camera system out?
Yes. Yes, and then you just pay the app fee, which is 700 Jamaican per month for every 4 cameras.
Can you buy the camera system outright?
Yes.
Without a monthly contract?
Oh, no. Because the app requires access, we have to pay the app access. If you don't want to pay it, we can bundle a year or 2 of app access fees into the price so you don't have to think about it for a period. And then we'll come back to you when that runs out. But because the app access is monthly, you do have to pay. And it's $700 for 4 cameras. So it's not a huge cost.
Okay, great. And how many megapixels do the cameras have?
Is it 1020 HD? I'm not quite sure exactly how many megapixels it is, but you can see it's a very good zoom and it's 1020 HD. So it is HD quality cameras and it has the infrared optics for at night, as you can see from my videos that you saw.
I personally believe that these costs are very affordable, and one of the most important things is when you're able to sleep well, because you know that you can monitor and at least there's response in the event of an emergency. And so I believe ping to get good rest and for your heart rate to be at a normal pace, this is very minimal compared to the benefit that one would derive. So we want to thank you so very.
If I could have one last thing, Renee.
Sure.
One last thing. I think Roxan wanted to tell you about her free camera promotion she has.
Right. So so I'm happy you segued into you. Okay, go right ahead.
Roxan?
Yes, very important, guys. So we're having a promotion now, a special offer. So anyone that purchases a kit, and that can be a camera kit or a security package, it doesn't matter, you will get a free camera. And this free camera can be either an indoor camera, an outdoor camera, or a doorbell camera. It's your choice. The point is, you get it free. And right now, everything is 20% off. So it is the right time to call us, go to our website, contact us in any way you can, and get this offer before it ends. And I did put in the chat or WhatsApp number. I figure it would be more convenient for persons overseas to contact us via WhatsApp. You can WhatsApp or WhatsApp call us. And it is an area code 876-322-SAFE. And I also put that in the chat as well. Okay, and don't forget to follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and we are also on YouTube with some, demonstration videos there, but please follow us on Facebook and Instagram.
Thank you so much, Renee. Thank you so much, Roxan.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Roxan Wais-Shirley and Renee Menzies-McCallum. Thank you very much. This is phenomenal. This is it. So now, I don't know if you were able to get your bathroom break, but nonetheless, we're down to the final presenter for the day. It has been a long day, but a day of information. This is revelatory. That's all I can say. And at this time, from the Incorporated Master Builders Association of Jamaica, I told you we're at the top shelf today. We have the president with us, who's about to do his presentation, Mr. Lenworth Kelly. Ladies and gentlemen, please make him welcome.
Thanks, Renee. Are you hearing me clearly?
Yes, yes, go ahead.
Okay, so a lot of what I would have presented on has already been spoken of by Tameka and some of the previous presenters, the NHT, VM, and so on. But I want to start off with a passage of scripture. And I think it is instructive. Largely, I'm going to be speaking on not of purchasing a house, but of building a house. I think the purchasing aspect has been fully vented. Luke 14:28 reads, "For which of you intending to build a house does not sit down first and count the cost whether he has enough to finish?" I would suggest that everybody who intends to build, write, that's Luke 14:28, whichever translation you want to read it from, write it at the very top, because it is all about counting the cost. Now I'm going to have a conversation, so to speak, not quite a presentation, as to the things people should really focus on. So in terms of, if you have your land already, fine. But when you're going to land acquisition, there are some things that we ought to consider. And I'm going to just catch a little bit and say, if you're going to purchase a house, especially if it's an older type house, you should request a structural report. Get a structural engineer to assess the building. You don't want to be spending your millions on something and all you have is the valuator's report. The valuator will just tell you what it values. Who says that building will stand up? So it's a recommendation. If you're buying an older type house, get a structural report. And what you may find is that when you go to insure the house, the insurer requests it. And then when you get that structural report, you realize that you get basket for carry water, because what you thought you were paying for was not what you got. So be very, very careful with that. So let us move now to your land selection. If you don't have your land already, let's just look at your land selection. And it's a lot of us want land with vistas, views, or we may want it on the coastline, we want it up on the slopes and the hillside. And some of us just want maybe flat, or we want, certain neighborhoods that are desirable. Now, there are a couple of things that you really want to give attention to. Number one, the slope of the land. I had occasion to go look at a piece of land. Somebody asked me to go and look, and I got the directions to go. And when I went there, I was looking for where they said the land was. I was looking over this cliff, and honestly, I did not actually see the land. The only way you could get a house on that lot is to hang up the house, like when you hang up a picture on a wall, because there was nothing in the horizontal plane for you to build on. We must give due attention to this. There's another example. There was a client who wanted to build on a particular piece of land because the view was absolutely fabulous. And we suggested that sell the lot he has, and it was back in about 1998 or somewhere there. Sell the lot he has, add $1 million to it, and buy something easier to build on. And I will tell you, he didn't get building until maybe around 2004, 2005, and he spent back then, when he had finished spending about $3.5 million, he did not start to excavate for the house foundations yet, but that was just to create access, which we were trying to get him to avoid by going for a gentler slope. You will see once you're building on a steep slope, you're going to find yourself building levels you don't need just to get up to the level you want. Please be cautious about it. I know you love the view, you want the view, but you may not be happy with the building costs. And that is a lot. The other thing to consider also is that there is a hillside development manual produced by the Mines and Geology Division. And it is what it tells you is that there are some locations, there are some slopes that you ought not to build on. And you can get an engineer to do the assessment for you and make the recommendations to you. But there are just some locations that ought not to be built. And there are some slopes that are too steep. There are some slopes where what you call it, the soil is fairly loose. We call them cohesionless soils. But the soil is fairly loose. So once you start going there and digging down and building, you're going to get movement. You have to build huge retaining walls. And there are many cases when people have spent money on retaining walls and just driveway. They probably would have spent a quarter of what they would have wanted to spend on the house, or maybe even more. So you really don't want to get into that kind of situation. So it's critical you look at the slope, you look at the topography. You want to definitely look what go down in the land. Maka might joke you and that kind of thing, but walk the land, get a feel for it. Go with your architect or your engineer, whoever you're going to use to design your house. Walk it and make sure you feel what it is. You don't want to go there and the view look good at the front, and because it bush up, you don't know what's in there. Get one cutlass man with there, carry your own cutlass. Go in there, bush it so you know you don't end up in some gully or some ravine, or there's some cave there or something which render the land unsuitable to be built on. All right, so we soil types. A tricky soil type is clay. And all you know is clay. If it wet, it going to stick on by a boot and it's hard for come off. That's how you know it's clay. Difficult to remove. So if you dig up some, you can roll it into a perfect ball. If it's not too wet, you can roll it into a perfect ball. It's like plasticine. That is terrible material, terrible soil to build on. But most of us, we just buy the land and we figure we can build. Anyway, a lot of houses, you find a lot of houses that are built on clay. It's not that you can't build on it, but they have inappropriate foundation. So when you go on clay, you really need to do what you call like a raft foundation. If you're building on clay, your engineer can guide you there. There's a lot of things to consider, people. And Jamaicans love big house, 2, 3, 4 floor, big house, heavy. And these soil types, you're going to get some movement. If you just have a little tattoo on it, it's fine, you know, you'll be okay. But you find that after in there, a year or so, you see some cracks, big cracks start appearing all over the place. You're going to say, the contractor rob you. Let me just argue for contractors here. You need to go back and check your design and check your soil type. All right, the houses will settle. That's a natural thing, you know, because you put in a heavy weight on the soil. So the houses will settle. Over time, you get little hairline cracks here and there and that kind of thing. You get a little of that, and when you repaint it, you can fill them up. All right, so we want to be careful. Be careful also of building in areas where there are swamps. Well, nobody should be building in a swamp here because those areas should be protected. Mangrove type areas, those areas should be protected. But some areas on flat land have certain kind of soil types that are, it may be peat and so on, which are not suitable. And in those areas, there are fixes that your engineer will recommend for you. Rock is the best material to build on, the best soil to build on, but it is expensive to build on rock. You know, you can't eat a cake and have it. You understand? But rock, once it's continuous rock and not some piece of rock, it's the best thing to build on. Avoid flood plains. Now you know, the people in the district would tell you, miss, anytime rainfall, all of the water go down through there. So I don't care how the view look, stay far from there. Gully courses, avoid. Not that a gully course can run through piece of land, but you must be elevated enough and far enough away that when there is torrential rainfall, the floods don't affect you. We see enough nightmares when we get some little bad rain, not even hurricane good enough, but just some heavy rains. And climate change has been dealing us some serious intensity of rainfall. So we want to avoid drainage channels. Sometimes you drive around, I saw this house recently, there's the road has a dip and the gentleman built his house. It's below the road and right where the dip is. And so all the water that comes down the road, it don't have any drain on it, you know. So the water would normally run through his land. So he would now have to invest in some serious drainage things to take it through his yard and dispose it to the gully. That's fine if you have the money, for it, but most of us don't. So we want to avoid those kind of areas. All right, so that is effectively pre-construction, your land selection. So we want to look now at pre-construction. What are the things you do before you get to building? So you get your land now and you find you're okay with your land. And then first you want to get your designer, you want to get your architect. I think the Building Act allows for if your house is less than a certain square footage, 3,000 square feet, you don't have to select an architect, but I want you to be careful here. Because architects bring also not just design, but there's some amount, there's an advisory role that they also play in terms of what you're seeing in front of you. So yes, you might have your draftsman, but some of them are experienced enough, but many are not so experienced in terms of advising you about the soil types and other issues that may arise. Right? They would just produce a drawing for you. Your architect gives you more than that. So you want to also, so you don't drive your architect crazy. Please have an idea of what you want. Ladies, I know to watch HGTV. I want to read architectural digest and sing and all these fancy things with them property brothers and all of these things. Now, have an idea of where you want your bedrooms and all of these things. So when you sit down with the architect, he can generate for you quickly a kind of layout, like a concept kind of thing. That moves the process, because each time you ask him to generate some concept, you're going to have to pay for it. Then you're going to frustrate the architect and frustrate yourself. So, and know what you want, know the kind of look you want, and send some pictures. Drive up and down, take the pictures them quick, so you don't drive past like Renee from Guardsman house, and she think you're staking up to her house like some kind of burglar. You may like the house and you want to take a quick picture. You take your picture and you move, because you want to show that to your architect, say you want something like this. Okay, so you kind of know what you want, so that project, that process moves quickly. You know, obviously you need to, based on what you want, you need to sit down with your architect, will give you a cost proposal for that. Now, so the architect gives you the look. Then the architect can get the engineer for you to design the structure. Because the looks is one thing, but this building must stand up. Now here, how it's pretty, the building has to stand up and it has to be able to keep you and your family safe. So that's where your structural engineer comes in, and he'll design all the steel elements, the concrete and so on, how the steel bars are placed and that kind of thing. And so that will, for the most part, complete the design. If your house is large enough, complicated enough, you know, we have houses that go up to like 30,000, 40,000 square feet. Yes, in Jamaica. Those buildings now may need a mechanical, electrical engineer to do the designs. And some of the houses we have built that have elevators in them. So you need we call a M&E, mechanical electrical engineer, who will design those aspects for you. So basically now we're kind of moving along the process. So you get we Jamaican tend to call them, you get the blueprint. It is only blue because when they take the originals to copy them, they use a process of preparing them. So it's really the copies. We're not using a lot of that anymore. So you're not going to see much blueprint. The drawing just come out white. Now, part of what you may want to consider, depending on where you are, the architect or the engineer may recommend that you do a soils report or a geotechnical report. If they are not certain, if there may be unstable slopes and you see some slope failures in the area, that's the benefit of using professionals. They will come in, they will say, listen, let us do 2 boreholes, or do some soil tests over there. The whole idea of that is to make sure that the soil can take the weight of your building that you want to put on it. And then the engineer uses that information to design the proper foundation for your house. Because if the foundation not good, forget about it. Right? If the foundation is not good, the scripture also says, foolish man build him house upon sand. All right? So your foundation is the key thing. That's where you must invest in a proper foundation. All right, so you would have done your drawing. A couple of things you need to understand. Some of us love go live up in a woodland or bush, wherever you want to call it. Now, when you go up there, you want to check and make sure that if you're going a distance away from where normal services are, or what we call civilization, you will need to go speak to JPS and Water Commission or you may have to generate your own electricity and sink a well to get your own water, because you want to make sure that wherever you build, you can get electricity and water. Those are critical. So if you decide to go live a bush, then you're going to have to sort out yourself. Or you're going to have to pay through your nose for JPS to run many light poles to come up to your house. And NWC probably don't even give you the time of day because you wouldn't want to pay the cost for them to bring water up to you. So you want to make sure that there's water supply available on JPS. Once you see power line pass your house, more than likely you'll be fine. And if your neighbor have pipe water, then you should also have pipe water too. One of the things is for areas you want to check if there is a municipal sewer, meaning that if you see some square metal things in the road going down, that's an idea that there's a sewer line that goes by, and you more than likely can connect to that. If that is not there, your architect or engineer will tell you that they have to design an on-site sewage. Now, these come in different types. The most popular type is your tile field or your reed bed. We have a recent experience with a client. They got the design before coming to us. And it was a reed bed design. And reeds grow up like maybe 3 feet you want them. But this client wanted to be able to walk everywhere in his yard. You can't walk through a reed bed. Is a sewage treatment kind of thing. And it sticks up above the ground. So it's important to ask. Tile field is suited if you love see a lawn and you're flat and that kind of thing. I won't bore you with those details, but just know that if you're going with like a reed bed, it takes up space. And if you want a nice flat lawn with all flowers, reed bed not giving you that. So make sure you have somewhere on the back, or somewhere some corner to put that. All right, so we move on now. So you would have all your drawings and everything ready now. Luke 14:28. You must count the cost now. So we recommend that you get a quantity surveyor. We call them QS. They are not land surveyor. Please don't mix them up, right? They are quantity surveyor. What they will do, your QS, the QS will take your drawings, go through and measure off everything that is on the drawing that is to be built, put it in a document called a bill of quantities. So we say, okay, fine, you need 5 doors, this type of door, it need 500 square foot of tile, this type of tile, that kind of thing. How much block, concrete, steel, all of that. What that does for you is you get the QS can use some market rates and give you a fair enough estimate of the cost to build. What it also does for you is that you have a document that you can give a contractor for him to give you back a price. Let me explain something here. It's critical. When you're going to get price, we normally recommend that you give 3 contractors. But if you give 3 contractors just the drawing, each of them come back with a different idea of what is to be built and what you want. But if you give them the quantities with everything defined in it, then each of them is apples with apples, each of them pricing the same exact thing. And so that's why we recommend that. Now, you may have a good contractor and give him drawing and maybe has a good track record and you are comfortable with him, then fine. By all means, go ahead. But we're talking about a general situation here because you want to be able to compare, have some kind of comparison to feel you're getting value for money. We have seen over and over where people just give the contractor the drawing and the contractor tell them a price. So you give the contractor a drawing for your 3-bedroom, 3-bathroom with a carport and your nice kitchen and so. And him just give back a piece of paper and it says $15 million. No, please don't go there. Run. You want to run from that situation. The costs have to be disaggregated, have to be broken down. It's helpful that if you want to increase a particular item or reduce the item, that item must already have been clearly defined. Because a lot of issues in construction is disputes over money and what was to be done and what wasn't to be done. So make sure everything is in black and white, clear, crystal, clear as day. All right? So once you know, you can decide if you want to use one contractor and negotiate to come to a point. You may have a budget, so you may have the big house. You want the big house, but your budget. What them say, you may You may want a champagne house, but you have a Kool-Aid money. That is a reality. We want nice things. This is just being real here. You probably can't get everything one time. So you may sit down and decide, okay, fine, I'm going to do the shell and finish these 2 rooms and live in there, and then later on I finish. You decide what works best for you, but you can't sit down and say, it's $10 I have and I want to get that feet. You're going to have a problem. No go so. You ask your quantity surveyor to give you an idea of what it will cost to build your house. And when you go out and you get those quotes using the bill of quantities, it really gives you an idea what it will cost out there. It tells you. And so you set your thing around that. All right? So we're basically at the construction phase now. Now, just to start the construction, you need a contract. People, please, I beg you now. You cannot be spending millions of dollars just on the basis of me say and you say, or on the basis of a book leaf or something like that, a 1 page. No, that is not cutting it. You're not in the modern world. You must have a contract. If it's even forget your lawyer draft up something, you have to have a contract. The master builders, we sell various types of contracts. There are standard forms out there, and you can buy a standard form and then put in some special conditions in there if you want, right? So you don't have to go reinvent the wheel. You don't have to pay Tameka millions to write a brand new contract. You just have to pay her to write the special conditions for you. But you can come to the master builders. And those purchases are standard form. We have minor works, we have CIC forms. There's a whole bunch of forms we have. You understand? But you do not go to construction without a contract. Don't do it. That should never happen. I'm amazed at the number of times we see on the news, people say them send money down, and when you ask, you can't even find a piece of agreement that people have. You just earn your money and send it, just up to people you don't know. And a lot of times, the client does not even have somebody on the ground here to follow up for them. You understand? Please do not go to construction without a contract. I cannot say it enough. It protects you, it also protects the contractor. It can be a one-sided thing, like you want to hold a dagger contractor's throat and anything where you say the contractor have to swallow it. No, it must be balanced. So the standard forms that you get from the master builders, they are balanced. And then you also need to have somebody, a construction professional, you can use a quantity surveyor because they normally evaluate for the money. You can use the architect, you can use the engineer to act between you and the contractor because the professional will understand the contractor's language and communicate that to you. But a lot of times when you as a client talking to a contractor is like a Frenchman talking to maybe a Spaniard, I don't know. But you're not talking the same language. So you need somebody in the middle to kind of balance that. Okay, and remember, these professionals are independent. Them don't just take your side because you're paying them. They are independent, registered professionals, so they act in that way. All right, so when you're going to construction now, and a couple things. You want to ensure that the contractor gives you a schedule. It don't have to be no fancy scientific schedule. So if the agreement is you're going to take 8 months to build a house, give you a schedule just to say foundation will start this time and finish this time. Foundation going to take 3 weeks or 4 weeks. Then you're going to say the walls going to take maybe 2 months. Then you say the roof will take a month and so on. Just some basics so you can understand and plan your little thing. Then the contractor will also say to you, this month, might give you a cash flow statement to say this month I'm going to want 1.5 million. Next month, based on where the work should be, it's going to be additional maybe 2 million. The following month and so on. What that does, it helps you to plan. So if you're going to get the money from VMBS or NHT, you're going early and say, look, send me something here, you know. I start a morning, I started what me having a little piggy bank. But no, I need you to chip in by this time. This is the money. Tell me what information I must give you. So you provide them with that, so everybody is prepared for let go the money. So the contractor workman them don't string him up and come block your gate and cause any embarrassment. All right? We make a plan ahead. We must have some basic things we can do, you know, just for thing. And then have some kind of regular report. The contractor, make him even write it on handwriting in a crab tour, whatever. But make him write a little report that goes to a professional with even a few pictures and say, listen, this is where I am, where we may have these problems and so on. And must have somebody that the contractor can talk to if he sees problems coming. Case in point. From last year, lumber's gone up in by multiples. So we don't even say it gone up by X% anymore. We said lumber double or triple or that. Steel gone up by maybe about 80%. So sometimes we as contractors look and we don't like what the steel price. And one of my suppliers said, in consecutive weeks, one Friday it went up 8,000, the following Friday it went up 3,000. So I call my clients and I say, listen, the steel price is going crazy. When we check, we realize that it's not going to stop going up. So can you advance the payments to the supplier to just pay for all the steel now that we're going to need? Because it's going to save the client. Because all I will do, you know, is come back and say, listen, my price for steel was $10 when I started this contract. It is now $20. You go have to pay me back the difference because I don't control steel. So it's in the client's interest now to act early and just pay that money quick so everybody is saved the additional expenses. If the contractor may find issues on site, he may find a particular part of the site is probably a sinkhole. You know, these things are, you notify, say, how do we work around this? We may need to pull the building back a bit, position there. So again, shift it left, shift it right, pull it back, that kind of thing. So there has to be some kind of communication, but it's hard for you as a client to absorb all of this construction lingo in your head. It will mad you. So you need to have a professional, somebody there who will just help you with those decisions and just tell you what's best to do. So you just really have to say yes, no, what it will cost. You understand? Trust me, it saved the stress because one of the things, postmortem reports don't say stress. It's either from heart attack or something. At that time it's stress and some of it can be construction stress. So we want to encourage you to use the professionals that are available. Just a few other things. We can't, in Jamaica, we have a structured industry. So labor rates increase 1st of February each year. Now, there isn't always an increase. Like, so for 2021, there's not an increase because it was negotiated with the unions to give a reprieve to the industry, because given COVID and all the other increases. So there'll be an increase in February 1st, 2022. So sometimes it varies, 2%, it can be 4%, it can be 3%, it can be whatever. But but the industry structure. At the master builders, you can purchase the rate book so you know what rates to pay. So if you have a little laborer coming, or if you have you're going to get a plumber some day work, or a carpenter some day work, or there's some other rate work, you can buy those rates from the IMAJ. The IMAJ also has an in-house consultant on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And the consultant is largely for homeowners who don't really know and can afford a professional to help them with them things. So you may be adding on a little bathroom, you can call in and get the best advice from him in terms of, you know, how to go about it, you know. So that is essentially, you know, in it. Now, the suggestion about the cash flow is important because you want to be, a lot of time, you don't hear this thing about contractor try thief or try rob you. No, when you have a cash flow, you know how your thing will be settled. But also, not because the cash flow is given to you, going to just pay the cash flow. You would have your professional assess the contractor's claim. So it would send in a claim, and the QSR over user come in and say, yes, and finish that ticket. You know, you never do that, you only do half. So you cut it by half and that kind of thing, and then present something to you for you to pay. So it's important. Now there's a critical thing that causes problem. Changes. If you give most contractor you draw and you don't make any change, you're going to get your building quick and at the cost, most of the times. The issues start when we want change. The living room too small, the bathroom too small, bathroom want bigger, we want a jacuzzi, we don't want a bath, and we go down the road and we want this, and we go over where? We go over Renee's house and say Renee have one big fabulous backyard with all bells and whistles, and we come back and we want that to listen. It costs money. So what you want to do when you want a change is to indicate that to the contractor and have the contractor give you a cost for the change. And then you can decide if you want to proceed with the change or not. You may not like what I did say over Renee again when you see the price. So we want to make sure. No, but you must. I'm saying that is one of the biggest problems, changes, or we call them variations. Here in government contract here about variation. Contractor cannot make change. Contractor don't change anything. Contractor has to be instructed to make the change and can be instructed by the client or the client's representative. I just want to encourage everybody, do the paperwork. Do your paperwork, get your contract in place, have a written agreement, even how you will pay, you have that written agreement. You can't have, well, I don't know how to do it if you have a contractor every Friday and just send you a bill. That's crazy. You can't go so. No, you say every fortnight or the end of every month. You understand? That's crazy. Unless you know, unless a taxi or run, you know, the money collect and then you can pay weekly. But you know, outside of that, structure the thing. We also sell safety handbooks, forms of, you know, construction manuals and that kind of thing. And the IMAJ and the reps usually are available for fora like these. So it may not be me, can be a vice president, and one of the other council members will come in and share. We conduct training for, you know, those employed in the industry, because we have to continuously train our people so they can improve and be better and be better. So those are in a basket, some of the things we do. Have been around since 1952. And we keep going. We advocate. You may see us in the news making nice about mobile bypass and all manner of things. We just want to make sure that Jamaicans benefit the most from any money Jamaica is spending. That is all. Thank you. And I hope you guys find the information helpful.
Wow. Mr. Kelly, so where were you all this time?
MJ is always a man from 1952.
But what is the point in a diamond if nobody can see it? People need to know. The average Jamaican needs to know. And it's not just for those overseas. It's for those of us out here, as you rightfully said, doing an addition, doing something. And we just need proper sound advice. I mean, the comments are coming in, nice presentation, very relatable. What somebody say you're cute.
I need to lend them my glasses, because that's it. So
Mr. Kelly, thank you so very much for the way you handled that. And these are real questions, because you're so right. Everybody wants to be up on, I mean, I'm on the hill with a nice view, but I'm also on the rock. But everybody wants to be in this space and they want the waterfront. And there are so many things to consider. And these are things that we really do take for granted. And many of us have been our own quantity surveyor, our own contractor. Some of us even turn our own plumbers. I know you realize that sometimes it costs you 3, 4, 5 times what it would have, you know, what it would have cost you if you had gone the right route. And also, additionally, I will say this. I like the fact that you have the forms, but I do believe, and it's something that touched deeply with me. I still do believe, even with a form, we still need for it to be witnessed by an attorney, somebody who will protect us, somebody who would say this left out, no sign that, they're going to trick you, there's a loophole. I still do believe. Renee. Yes.
Thank you. And the arbitration clause, when the dispute happens, the 90% of the time, and the contractor run over time, and you pay him $10 million, is only $8 million worth of work. Need to be captured. The damages, how are you compensated? Need to be properly. Thank you, Renee.
Renee, if I might, let me just answer Tameka. Sure. There is no way the contractor should have 10 million if he only do $8 million worth of work. Somebody fell down on the job.
Mr. Kelly, at Jamaica, this is still enough between me and you.
No, but you have your QS who will assess the work.
And we have IDS.
There's something for you to know. There's an item called a retention that you hold.
Right.
It's only 10% of the work. Each time you hold it as a fund. And what that does now, if the contractor decides to not, you have some money there to fix some things. Because part of the process is not just to inspect, to pay. It's also to inspect to ensure that the quality is there. You can't necessarily trust the contractor that you need an independent person to ensure that what should go there is there. We have projects that we do, and we may have had some faulty material. We have to go back through it and make sure we take up that faulty material and fix the situation. But some people will just leave it there and go about their business. You know, ultimately it's going to cause a problem. But
so you're there to protect us.
To the integrity of the contractor, you must. Yeah. So the standard contracts come with these things, you know. Who witnesses the contract with you? You have to have witnesses for both signatories. You can request a bond if you're spending enough. Say you go bill maybe, you know, like a small apartment complex or whatever. You request a bond from the contractor so that you can't just up and run with. Provide a bond for 10% of the contract sum. So that bond, you have something to hold on to. There are insurances, a whole bunch of stuff, but we have been loose in spending our millions. We really need
We have been.
The things that are in place. These things are there now. These are nothing new. These are standard.
But the truth is, Mr. Kelly, not very many of us are aware that this even exists. And that's why this webinar is so important, not just for those in diaspora, but for us as Jamaicans. You know, it is so important that we're doing this, you know. And so I want to thank you again for the able way in which you handled up the thing today. You were amazing and very relatable. And I just want to pause for a moment. I'm a little late, but I'd like to acknowledge the presence of Dr. Kevin Brown, who is online from Global Jamaica Diaspora. Mr. Spain, France. I'm just wait for one person from Japan. If said Japan, I'm going to cut off and just finish this whole webinar today. But we're in every part of the world. And importantly, persons have left their navel string in Jamaica and they want to come back with their hearts to connect. So we thank you, Mr. Kelly, for helping us to make good, solid, sound decisions, you know, so we don't just tell somebody, look for the piece of land, and as you rightfully said, they just go to the front and say, yeah, man, it go way back so, when probably there's a big drop, there's a slope, you know, something wrong, and the things weren't done in the right steps. So thank you very, 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 very much. I mean, the curtains are closing. The curtains are closing. It has been an amazing afternoon. Persons who are experts in their field, who have a heart not just for Jamaicans living in Jamaica, but for Jamaicans and friends of Jamaica all over the world. Persons who have never put foot on this soil, but for some reason they feel a deep connection with this country, who have an interest in owning their own little piece of the rock. Just a reminder that Integrated Diaspora Services, they are here. So if you missed anything today, we're on YouTube. Listen, whatever questions you have, anything you're not sure of, whatever you want in terms of follow-up, believe me, you can just reach out to us in the chat, leave your information in the chat. Someone will be in touch with you and we will have the necessary follow-up to give you everything you needed and more. All right? So I am the ambassador and the advisor for the Jamaican Diaspora of France. And because I wear that hat, even though I'm not wearing that hat today, I'm hosting everybody today, I just want to let you know of some upcoming events for the Jamaican Diaspora of France. So for the rest of June, we will be having a fluent language on the 25th, which is a competition with persons just reading patois, and it's not something you get before, so you can prepare. You just get a poem when you come online, and we encourage you to dress up in your outfit and all these things, and we give our real tangible prizes. Okay, on June 27th, we'll be having a hiking in Nanterre. I'm not sure if I'll be able to make it for that hike, but there will be a hike in Nanterre on June 27th. July, which is my month, we're having La Premidi Jamaica, which is an afternoon, a Jamaican afternoon, where you will be taught Jamaican dancing. You know the song? Gratitude is a must. Blessings for me. You know that song? So we will be doing a flash mob to Coffee's song Toast, right? We will also be having jerk chicken, and I'm sure it is Ricky, who is very much online with us here today, who will be providing the jerk chicken. So we'll be having jerk chicken, all kind of reggae concert, the 20th, all kind of stuff going on July now. But might just touch down, and I might see me, but I might see me, all right? And in December now, we have the Jamaican Christmas Gala. So you will definitely hear more about that. Also, let me note, in September, a date to be announced, the Jamaican Diaspora en France and Integrated Diaspora Services, again, we're coming together. And this time, we will be looking at investments, you know, the stocks, the bonds, all those things. Yes, we're getting the professionals in that area, and we'll be looking at those things. So you're overseas, you're working hard, you just put in your money so and it not work for you. You work for your money. No, it's time for your money to work for you. So we will be having a series as well as it relates to investments. Listen, there's just one other item after you hear my voice, and it will be our president of the Jamaican Diaspora en France, Marcia Bernard, who will be giving the vote of thanks. But before I go, let me just see if I can cement this thing. So you learn to locate the right piece of land. You learned what to look for, what not to look for. You have an understanding now of how to engage a contractor, how to ensure you have your attorney. You learn about your security for surety. Listen, I don't know what we did cover today, right? So everything is here for you. We have the realtors who were here today who can say, listen, this is a property. We have communities that are safe, all kind of stuff. Forbes magazine listed us as the #1 location in the Caribbean to do business and investing. There is a reason everybody running from all over the world to come to Jamaica. So don't just run from Jamaica when everybody is running to Jamaica. Come get your piece of the rock. You will not hear my voice after this for today as I hand over to our president of the Jamaican Diaspora en France. But I just want to let you know, I enjoyed your company. You were amazing. The comments had me going. Just the energy of the persons, the presenters who were so practical, who were so real. For those of us who in between turn off a camera and eat piece of bun and drink like a syrup, yes, we're able to squeeze your lunchtime in. So I want to let you know that I enjoyed today. And I look forward to meeting you online or in person at a time very, very soon from now. I am your hostess with the mostest, Renee Amoy Foster, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Madam President, take it away.
A round of applause to our hostess, Renee Foster. She's great. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. A very, very good evening to all. Well, my name is Marcia Bernard, President of the Jamaican Diaspora en France, located right here in Nanterre. Oh my God, it gives me great pleasure to deliver the vote of thanks to all assembled here, to everyone. I would like to thank our panelists who honored this event by giving us their precious, precious time. Listen, I've been in France for over, how much years now? Over 39 years. Every time I speak, it seems like it's going up. For over 39 years, and we have never had anything like this. I've never known all these things were happening in Jamaica. I am glad. Listen, I thank you panelists for really being here. And as I said, giving us your precious time. I know it's late, so I'm just gonna run through my list. I would like to thank Mr. Andrew James, Chairman of Real Estate Board and Commission of Strata Corporation. Would also like to thank Mr. Leighton Smith from VMBS, Chief Officer Representative of the office in the UK. I would like to thank Mrs. Natalie Fowler from NHT. There were so many information in those presentations. Wow, wow, wow. I thank Mrs. Tameka Jordan, Principal and Legal Consultant at MJLawGlobal. Oh my God, you know, I wish I'd met you before. I have some serious legal matters with land and house and all of that, but I didn't know this could be sorted out. Thank you for all the information. I also thank Mr. Lenworth Kelly, Mr. Kelly, President of Incorporated Master Builders Association. Thank you so much, sir, for giving us all those information. You know, I saw all the comments in the chat. They were just going. And I think if we sit here for another hour, you would see more questions and comments going. I thank also Mrs. Roxan Wais-Shirley, Marketing Manager at Guardsman, also at Guardsman, Mrs. Renee, Menzies-McCallum, Managing Director, Imported Solutions Limited and Guardsman. Thank you all. Dr. Brown, thank you for being here. Dr. Brown of the Global Jamaican Diaspora UK. I thank all the association and all the companies that are here that I probably didn't see. I thank you all. I know that there were associations from all over Europe. I would like to give a special thanks to the wonderful IDS and JaDiF team for the great collaboration. It has paid off. Last but not least, our beloved audience for making the event a grand success. We couldn't have done it without you. Once again, our host. Thank you so much for being that special host. Thank you. Yes, thank you all, and see you in the next webinar. Thank you. You can